Good evening, good morning, and good afternoon in every time zone, in every area around the world. Welcome to Toast AM from the rugged Atlantic provinces of Canada, where we are less on fire than we were in recent days. And joining me on Toast to Toast, as always, is my friend and co host, Dave. How are you, Dave?
Oh, I didn't see you there. Hi, everybody. How are you tonight?
We're well. We're well. I hope.
Wonderful.
Actually, I don't know. Well, the chat will have to let us know how they are.
That's true. That is true. I'm well. You say you're doing well,
I'm
so we
doing
got that
well,
on lock. We know how we're doing.
and my dog is having a nap. So far that's good.
That attitude.
Indeed.
Oh, and Vishanti's not feeling well. I'm very sorry to hear that, Vishanti.
Oh no. Speaking of,
Yeah, Jeremiah, there's no need to be patronizing about it. We all know my hair isn't fire. Thank you. Fine. I've made peace with it.
speaking of Vishanti, here she is modeling her win on
Hey.
trivia night. Her toast to toast tumbler, which Dave and I, cheers to you, Dave, are both using as well.
Everybody,
And we mentioned the tumblers because
because
it is once again, you can see in the corner over there, the corner there, we got the trivia night once again, but it's going to be a different trivia night, but we will get to that in due time. This is the show where we celebrate Art Bell and
yeah,
his various radio programs, primarily Coast to Coast AM. And
yes.
tonight we've got a bit of a doozy. It's a little bit of a throwback to closer to what I do on the main channel, which is kind of how we
Yep.
started some of this.
Yep.
And so we're going to be doing some.
Sorry, I'm laughing because Jeremiah Coleman apparently feels genuinely bad, not realizing that I'm just messing around. I am not upset. You aren't really patronizing. I'm just being an asshole, Jeremiah. Don't take it to heart.
Dave being Dave.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we got a good one tonight, but as you know, around here, so we the show is not cheap.
Nope.
These you can't just go digging
should we
through
start
the.
with a toast first, Paul?
Well, I tried to do a toast with you, and you were distracted. But
I'm
cheers,
sorry, I screwed it up. Oh, that one. We're doing the cheers. Okay, yeah.
cheers. Well, what kind of toast did you want to do, or with the
I
good
didn't know.
stuff?
I have a fancy glass of scotch.
I
that
have.
was
So I also
fancy.
have. I was given some birthday Fortress rum, dark rum, which is a very delicious brand. I'm sipping from my mug.
I'm drinking Macallan sherry cask single
Okay.
malt scotch tonight.
So cheers to you, Dave, and to the audience.
Cheers to you, Paul, and to all the friends joining us here tonight. And cheers to Vishanti. I hope you feel better soon.
All right. Well, we need to, as I was kind of alluding to there, the show. While we do this for fun, this
Yeah.
is just a great joy for us to do. This isn't cheap. We have the fax machine to run.
Yep. Yep.
We have the various internet bits that we have to
Yep.
secure in time. We have
Absolutely.
we have the drinks and the tumblers.
Our writing staff.
Our writing stuff. We have to go through the dumpster to
Yep.
find all the old radio tapes.
Yep. Absolutely. Yep.
We have to digitize the radio tapes. This is just the whole thing. There's Dave's various assistants.
Yep. Absolutely.
So
It's
anyway,
literally the only thing I have, going for me.
so
So
this
carry
is
on, Paul.
great. So we have a couple things. So one is your super chats are always welcome, and we will stop what we're doing in general and enjoy the super chats when they're appropriate.
Absolutely. Yep.
We have a message from Mark here, which I'm not sure that Great, good for you, Mark.
It's a nice night for us.
That sounds more fun than what I'm doing. So that's
Watch
cool.
out for mosquitoes. Oh,
What?
I think we're having fun.
I'm not saying we're not having fun. I'm saying that is like extra level. So we have super chats, which we appreciate.
Oh, now Mark's making me wish I'd worn a different T-shirt tonight.
Uh-oh.
But we're gonna have to hold off on that one.
And then something's with my mouse going on here.
Watch the next stream, Mark. You'll be you probably already know what it is. Yeah.
And then we have super chats that sometimes come in, which helps support the show. So here's one. Here's one from Mark.
Mm-hmm.
It says,
I'm here to chew bubblegum and donate for coffee tables, and I'm all out of bubblegum.
We enjoy a good "They Live" reference.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. And then the other thing that's going on is that we oftentimes Dave, the business manager for Toast to Toast here.
Yes.
Business development. You often will get a sponsor, and so do we have a sponsor for this show, Dave?
We do have a sponsor this week.
Oh, okay.
Paul.
Well, can you fill us in?
I can. It's a little unconventional, but I do have. You got some ad copy to read here, and
okay.
Paul, here at Toast to Toast, we've been fortunate enough to have some truly spectacular corporate sponsors that have helped this show enjoy such overwhelming success. But I'm not going to lie to you, Paul. Lately, it has been a bit of a struggle finding brands to bring on board. Our numbers in the key demographic have been dipping lately, and that's been hurting our market viability. Luckily, the hearts and minds that bring you Toast to Toast have never been afraid of a little hard work. Like diamonds, pressure just makes us shine. So I was not discouraged, Paul. No, sir. I took it as a challenge. And I went out and I found a sponsor that was willing to be a little more flexible when it comes to boring things like engagement and views and numbers. Who wants to hear a bunch of dry and uninteresting statistics and facts? Certainly not this week's sponsor. Paul, I am moderately proud to tell the loyal watchers of our stream on YouTube about our new exciting sponsor, Falsehoods. Now, I am just going to start by addressing the elephant that's currently setting the room on fire. Aren't falsehoods bad? Well, that's certainly the narrative that your parents and kindergarten teachers pushed, and absolutely, falsehoods should not be used by underage children or teens under any circumstances. Falsehoods have been very upfront about the potential risks involved with using their product and the detrimental effect it can have on developing minds in their formative years. But we're all adults in this stream here, and perhaps we should take a more nuanced approach to this complicated subject. Like so many things in life, Paul, falsehoods cannot be judged on a simple black and white, positive or negative scale. There are infinite shades of gray. And I'm suggesting that if what you do is approach falsehoods with an open mind. Let's say, for example, that one night you're out illegally night hunting with your buddies and you happen to shoot a particularly hairy vagrant. And then to compound your guilt, you tell some crazy made-up story about how you shot a Bigfoot, attempting to turn this tragedy into an opportunity for attention and monetary gain. Clearly, this is completely morally objectionable, and any clear-thinking human would judge this as reprehensible and punishable action taken by charlatans and cowards. Right? Right. However, let's say, for example, that you spent years of your life spinning an increasingly extravagant story about a bottomless and quite possibly interdimensional hole you found on your property you were leasing from your ex-wife. And let's also say you decided to add that shadowy military-industrial organizations had forcibly removed you from this property, instead paying you a generous stipend to go to Australia and experiment with the healing powers of peyote while rescuing wombats. But that this idyllic retirement came to an abrupt halt when you snuck back to America, only to find yourself knocked out, rolled, and forced to serenade a cadre of homeless people in San Francisco who were laboring under the false belief that you were Willie Nelson, possibly due to yet another falsehood. Now, who is harmed, Paul, by this blending of the truth with some elements of not truth? The only harm done here is the continual delight of an audience of millions that has lasted nearly 30 years, not to mention an increase in awareness of holes and poorly worded leases. I don't know about you, Paul, but I see that as an unmitigated boon, both to society as a whole and to myself personally. So, whether your fifth grandmother's funeral on a Friday afternoon is getting you out of work, whether those renovation expenses on your tax return are there and you really hope nobody looks too closely at them, or Whether you've got a doctor's appointment that unfortunately prevents you from going to a coworker's dinner party, falsehoods are here to help you smooth the rough edges off of life. And what's more, you can use promo code Toast to Toast, that's TOAST, the number 2, TOAST, the next time you are using a falsehood to receive a fib, exaggeration, or little white lie at absolutely no extra charge. Try a falsehood today, Paul, and your life is guaranteed to get 50 to 80% better. They promise. Falsehoods.
Wow. Falsehoods.
Yeah.
They're huge.
They're huge. I mean, they're literally
They've been around.
everywhere. Yeah.
They've been around for years.
Long time.
Long time. That is a good get, Dave. That is a good get. Now, did they promise to pay?
They absolutely promised that they were going to pay. It's, check is in the mail. It's stereotypical. Apparently they still use checks. They don't have
the people at the people at Falsehoods.
Yeah.
Are promising to. Well, that's we may as well spend the money now, I guess. That's guaranteed to be coming in.
I have already did that Macallan Scotch I was drinking. It's not like that's free, Paul. I don't know if you know much about how Scotch works.
I see. That's why you broke out the good Scotch, because we got the
we're
falsehood
celebrating here.
We got the falsehood money.
Falsehood money coming in.
Woo!
We got a couple super chats.
We have a couple super chats.
Yep. Unless is there anything else you'd like to say about our new sponsor?
No, I'm good. So we have we have this one from Brennan Gilbo. Oops, there it goes. Something's going on with
I'm pretty sure we're pronouncing that wrong, but good try.
Gilbo? I don't know. Sorry, I can't give more. I enjoy your content. Well, there's no obligation here, Brennan.
No apology necessary. Paul and I genuinely appreciate the sentiment. The super chat's fantastic. Honestly, if you can't afford to super chat anything, we're happy you'd be here.
Everyone's here to man, something's wrong with my mouse, Dave. It's going wacky. All right. But here's the other one we have from Zictomorph. Because there's a Mel-shaped hole in everyone's heart. Cheers. Thank you, Zictomorph.
It's supposed to be like a hole, not a heart shape, but
yeah.
Unless you genuinely have a hole in your heart, in which case we're not making fun of you, and
and you probably should. Hopefully it's not miles deep.
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for those super chats, and thank you again to Falsehoods. We appreciate that.
Yes, thank you, Falsehoods.
Thank you, Falsehoods. So, let's talk a little bit about today's episode of Toast to Toast that we're going to be covering.
Do we want to talk about the episode of Toast to Toast, or do we want to talk about the game we're playing?
Oh, well, let's do trivia first. I think you're right. So we have a.
This is new. This is new. I'm learning along with all of you. Paul has set this up. I'm going in. Blinders on.
So if you are a regular watcher of the show, you will have seen that we've done trivia nights in the past, and those are in the past we've done trivias that were multiple choice. You picked A, B, C, or D, and you would enter your choice into the chat as the questions would come forward, and the magic computer would tally up the scores. It would take time from tallying bananas, tally up the scores, and and then we would have at the end of the number of questions, however many questions there were, then we would have a winner, and the winner would will later receive a lovely tumbler, a Toast to Toast tumbler as the prize. Now we have a slightly different game today, Dave, but it will be the same prize. We will be able to win a tumbler, but it's going to be it's a number game, and it is to see who can get the closest.
Okay.
So there will be there'll be a trivia question, and the answer to the trivia question will be an integer number, somewhere between 1 and say 1 trillion, or it could be negative number as well. So I guess negative trillion to 1 trillion. That's your range, and
For those
You
of us who
enter-
can't read so good, what's an integer, Paul?
Well, that's a whole number. So there's none of this 1.5 business, or it's all
No
no
decimals. Just
decimals,
straight,
no decimals,
easy
just
numbers.
the straight goods.
I hear
So
7's an integer.
and for example,
From
if you think the answer is 7, you don't type SEVEN. That's wrong.
You type the number 7.
You use the number pad if you got one.
Use them if you got them.
So it'll be similar format. We're gonna have the trivia clock. There's 7 questions tonight.
Mm-hmm.
And then and so yeah, so instead of A, B, or C, you're gonna be let me throw up the trivia here
Is this like Price is Right, closest without going over? Or
no,
just
so
like
it's not
up,
closest.
who's
So
the
it's just
closest?
it's so if you are 5 over or 5 under, it's the same score.
Okay.
Oh, there we go.
There we go.
So, there we go. Oh, it's actually going. Cool. All right, so let me start that countdown clock going. Now,
Or are we
what now?
are we doing one right away?
Yeah, let's do one right away.
Okay.
And I think the countdown clock is going there. Okay,
It is.
So
Seems to be.
Dave, do you want to read the questions? Do you want me to read the questions? So Dave's
Well,
going
I want to play.
Okay,
So
you're going to
you
participate.
better
So I will
the
read the
questions. I'm
question,
excited. I can actually-
and then Dave will be competing along with all of you because he doesn't know. Oh, and these are Art Bell themed, by the way. They're all Art Bell related questions.
Got it. Good theme.
All right. Oh, it's
Wow,
very
you
hard
did
to
a
read.
black background on
How
green,
many
huh?
how many total episodes did Art Bell host during this time on the radio show Coast to Coast AM? I'm going to have to fix that. But that's the question. How many total episodes did Art Bell host during his time on the radio show Coast to Coast AM? Venture yourself a guess. And of course, Mark with the early entry.
I feel like Vishanti's closer than I am.
And so you have a certain you have 12 more seconds to get your answers in. And then it will tally up. We will see who gets closest to the total number of Art Bell Coast to Coast AM episodes.
I feel like I undershot it.
It's
Oh, you don't want to have this on a black background too?
It's tallying. Well, I didn't test. I didn't get to test this ahead of time, so we'll see how this goes.
Oh, actually, I was surprisingly close. Okay.
So the answer over the course of 20 years, he had 2980 shows. So we had Mark apparently got closest with 2,500. Vishanti
That's
second.
bullpucky. I guessed 3,000.
Well, you're not even in here, Dave.
I'm not even in there, but
Did you?
I'm back right in the middle of all that in chat.
All right. Well,
I mean, it's fair enough. I shouldn't win anyway.
You better appeal to the.
Yeah.
All right.
This horse and pony show.
Horse and pony show. Well, I guess at this point pause the game. Can I not pause the game?
I shouldn't loudly criticize the game you're running on the show that I am.
Correct. No, maybe not. But also, apparently, this one doesn't let me pause the way. Ugh. All right, we're going to take that off screen.
Yeah, fair enough.
All right. So apparently, this one doesn't have the same pause ability that I had on the. I didn't. So this is new. I haven't tested it before.
We didn't do a practice run.
No, we didn't do a practice run because it's weird. The stream has to be running for it to work. And anyway, it doesn't matter. We are going to put up the clock. When the trivia clock goes, we will ask the next question.
Okay. Yay! All right.
Well, we fumbled our way through that one.
Yep.
But that's how that's going to work.
If anybody knew, this is the Toast to Toast experience. Better. Hope you're enjoying it. This is pretty much what we got going.
My slogan, yes, is that this is the most needlessly complicated show on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently, it was the last couple of shows were just too easy.
Yeah.
So I thought I would complicate things further. All right. Tonight's episode of Coast to Coast that we are covering,
yes,
was called something about ET. ET. It was not. It was not what the actual episode was about. The actual episode, because Dave and I did do a quick test to see what was happening.
Yeah.
This is a gentleman who's come on. His name is Jim Do you remember his last name?
Hurd? I want to say Jim Hurd.
Nope.
No, Jim Hurd's a very okay. Never mind. That's he's like a sports team owner.
I put it in the description. It's in the description of the video. You can check it out. And
Yeah.
but Jim/James, he is coming on to let everyone know about a discovery in both archaeology and theology. He has become aware of a very important piece of new history that reveals that Jesus, the one that most people know, the founder of Christianity, by some, the one on your shirt, Dave, that
Yes,
that Jesus,
this guy right here. Yeah.
that Jesus, he's an alien. He's not a heavenly being per
Like
se.
he's there
He's
without official papers.
that probably also true, but also extraterrestrial.
Jim Deardorff.
Jim Deardorff. Thank you for the
Jim Deardorff.
correction.
Yes.
All right. So we are going to join. Art had the first 20 minutes of this particular episode was some weird thing about mutilated animals that I really didn't feel like listening to.
Okay. Yeah. Yes, that's right. Yeah.
So we're jumping to about 20 minutes into the show when Jim joins, and we'll see how it goes from there. You ready, Dave?
I'm ready.
All right, off we go.
Let me read from the back of his book. That might help. Celestial Teachings. Celestial Teachings explores and analyzes a document called the Talmud of Jmmanuel. It was discovered in 1963 after being buried and encased in resin for nearly 2,000 years.
I missed that. Encased in resin,
Yeah.
like Jurassic Park, like amber.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. And this was a book, and once it was, they took all the sticky resin off. They were able to read
Yeah.
the book.
Yeah. Which is essentially pine sap. Right. That's all.
Right. Okay. So fair enough. Okay. And in case anyone's wondering, this episode aired in 1996,
Yes.
which by my math is around 10 years ago.
Give or take. Yep.
Give or take, yep. Roughly 10 years ago in 1996. And
In
yeah,
line
man,
with my sponsors, not so big on facts. How do you feel about it?
The discoverer was assassinated and the document was burned. Fortunately, a significant portion
uh-oh.
of it had already been translated and put into safe hands. Is this the true origin of the Gospel of Matthew, or is this a cruel hoax? James Deardorff.
So one thing I'm noticing now as well, someone recorded this off the radio.
Yeah. We don't
I don't know
have
if
a
you can-
nice high quality version of this.
But I don't know if you can hear. There's a hockey game going on as
Yeah.
well.
That's like picking up like you used to on AM radio. You
Yeah.
get the slight.
So now I think one of my missions also will to see if I can figure out what teams are playing in this hockey game while we're.
Well, you Google the day, you should be able to.
Oh, that's true. Although, narrow it down at least.
provides the astonishing answers after 6 years of research.
Yes.
Now we will go, as you could with his book, and explore it with him. Here is, wait a minute, let me put him over there and put him here, I think. Jim Deardorff, welcome to the program.
Hi, Art.
Hi. You come to us, I think, from up in Corvallis, Oregon, right, Jim?
Yeah, that's where Oregon State University is.
And you actually are Professor Jim Deardorff, correct?
Yes, emeritus. I've been retired for about 8 years.
I see. Well, I'm curious, first of all, what in the world led you to this whole area from a traditional academic background, Jim? This is quite a jump. How'd you make it?
Yes, I had been just a research professor or researcher first in the National Center for Atmospheric Research in Boulder, Colorado for 16 years, a
No
senior
kidding.
scientist, and moved back to Oregon State in 1978 and continued my research there. But not too long after that, I became more interested in ufology and looked into the Edward Meyer case of Switzerland.
Billy Meyer.
Billy Meyer.
Uh-huh.
And that got me interested in looking into more and more things, and I came across this document called the Talmud Jmmanuel. It's a translation, anyhow. And at that time, it was still only in the German language, and we're struggling to translate it into English. But it purports to be the true teachings of Jesus. I know there's a lot of channelings around that purport to do the same thing, and they all differ from one another. But this one has much more of the ring of truth to it.
How did you, Jim, how did you...
So I don't know if we want to, when we want to...
Yeah.
Into it, Paul. So knowing what this is about, I took the time to do a little looking into the Talmud Jmmanuel, this book that this is basing it on. Yeah, so there it is. This is the English translation. Yeah, and I have some. I read a little bit of it and found it pretty tough going, so I stopped. I figured I would just.
Do we need to recap just briefly in case anything that is missed?
Yes.
An Aramaic document was found in tree resin,
Yeah, there was the two friends, a Palestinian man and a German man, found a cave which actually was an old tomb, and exploring it, they found this document packed in resin, which luckily I believe his name was Ari, the Palestinian man, could apparently read ancient Aramaic, or read it well enough to understand. He wasn't fluent, but was able to make sense of it and then translate a large portion of this document into German, which his friend then took and published as the Talmud Jmmanuel, and it was eventually translated into English, and this is the book that we have here today. Yes. I got some Amazon reviews.
Well, yeah, the great thing about the modern day is that people can use the Amazon, they can use the Yelp, they can do the various things and give their own feedback.
Would you like to hear what the people of the world?
I would love to hear, Dave.
They feel about this. So I took kind of just a random smattering. Not all good, not all bad.
Let's hear.
So we got Light gives this book 5 stars.
Ooh.
This is truth seeker material. On the flip side, Steve Vasseur only gives it 2 stars. If it is true, it is great, but apparently there is a large part of forgery and superimposed facts here, which makes it a lie.
You don't say.
So good work, falsehoods there.
Mm-hmm.
5 out of 5 stars. Southpaw 68. I won't read this whole review. As you can see, I've just highlighted a few key phrases here. Billy Meyer presents us with the Talmud Jmmanuel, which is allegedly the true gospel story before it was distorted, Paul. It was distorted by Christians and Jews. Jmmanuel urges us to live by the laws of creation, which he never really spells out. Moving on. But one thing he does go into detail on regarding sexuality, he forbids anyone to participate in adultery, cohabitation, male homosexuality, prostitution, fornication, bestiality, child sexual abuse, incest, a word I'm not going to say on YouTube, violence, marry a guilty or divorced person, or divorcing for frivolous reasons. All of these are forbidden, and the punishments for these things are harsh: sterilization, castration, banishment, and sometimes imprisonment and execution. Strangely, lesbianism is said to be permissible. Moving on, as so often happens in any of these kind of things, he specifically condemns and curses the Jews, saying they are not a real tribe, they are false, they think they are better than everyone else, they will not be able to permanently occupy Palestine, they will be cursed, persecuted, and spiritually blind throughout the centuries. Take in mind that this is being written by a Palestinian, so
yes, these aren't people driven here from coast to coast. These are people who took up this book in earnest, believing that this was they were buying a new gospel, now, as it were.
Here, is this book a hoax? Dr. James Deardorff of Oregon State University has examined it and does not believe it to be so. This is a strange, fascinating, and scary story. Wow. If an Oregon State University professor...
That's right. If a random professor I've never heard of says it's good.
5 stars from Mary Leonard. Intuitively, this book makes more sense than anything taught to me in Sunday school classes, and way more sense than any dogma propagated by adult education. Such an eye-opener. I wish I'd been exposed to this many years ago. Let's see. Let's just skip some of these. 1 star from More
Oh
Power.
no, bad review.
Clever, but not clever enough for an educated Christian.
He
I was
saw
so
through
intrigued.
it.
I was so intrigued to purchase this book because there is so much we don't know about the life of Christ. Being open to new ideas is something that all of us can benefit from. As I reached page 50 in the paperback version, I was unfortunately fairly disappointed. The writing had a somewhat contemporary style, which is absolutely true, indicating this book was not the original teachings of Jesus. Instead, it seemed to paraphrase much of the New Testament, including a hefty amount of writer's embellishment. Verses 1026 and 1027. Also point out this is done like a modern scripture where it's broken down into chapter and verse,
That's
even
correct.
though this is a translation of an ancient Arabic.
Just like the original New Testament writers decided to put in chapter and verses. Makes sense.
The true intent of this book is to denigrate Israel, which, yes, it goes into great length. As the other previous review, most of this book is basically about how terrible the Jews are. And I won't go into more detail, but it goes on at length about that. Dubious, written by Billy Meyer.
Dubious.
I approached with an open mind. The premise is also put out in a leather codex predating by Muslims who forged a disinformation campaign. Some also in an oral tradition in Kashmir. Whether or not I survived the crucifixion, does Mott preclude his teaching rainbow light body, or can explain the image flashed onto the Shroud of Turin when he collapsed into, in quotation marks, 0 point, whilst levitating off the stone burial slab, pointed out by physicist. Some food for thought.
That is some good points being made there.
Then Patricia Blossom, 4 stars, would have preferred hardback for the price. So I think there's a wide range there. Some good points raised all around. Yeah.
That's funny.
All
right.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Vishanti. It wouldn't be a real conspiracy if it wasn't rife with anti-Semitism. Yeah.
Jay Victor sends in a super chat for 550, 550 rupees. I don't remember if we just decided what we know what those are. Rubles? I don't know. Frat Jesus is okay with girl on girl, but boy on boy is a no-no.
No. That's sterilization and possibly imprisonment or execution there. Yeah.
We all know. We all know what the bad. Anything that makes you feel icky is bad.
Yeah.
Anything that makes you feel tingly is fine.
Yeah.
All right.
So that's it.
So those are people in earnest, both pro and con, just fully in support. So this is not just us and coast to coast. There's a section of the Christian community that is buying in that this is worth taking a look at.
Yep. There's so much we don't know about Jesus, and perhaps
the Talmud,
the Testament of Emmanuel.
Upon this document, how did you get it?
Well, it's part of the Meyer case literature documents. He has all these contact notes. He has some channelings, too, that were given to him. And this document, like it says, like you mentioned, he discovered in 1963 with the help of a priest in Jerusalem who befriended him, or whom he befriended.
No, maybe we better give a little bit of background on the Meyer case. Can you give the audience, not all of them certainly are familiar with the Billy Meyer case, an outline of how Billy Meyer got all of this, or what happened to Billy Meyer?
Yeah, he's a contactee way back from the age of 5, which takes him back into the early 40s. And his contactors first told him, or eventually told him they were from the Pleiades. And one of his contactors, a woman named Asket, took him all around the Middle East and encouraged him to partake and study all the various religions right at their roots as best he could. And it was in 1963 when he was doing that in Middle East that he came across this document that's buried in this cave near Jerusalem.
Well, I mean, what happened to Billy Meyer? How was he contacted by people from Pleiades, is it?
Yes, that occurred later, for 10 years after his Middle East ventures, he didn't have any contacts until 1975. Then his contacts began, and about 1977 we began to hear about it from the people who had investigated the case the most.
All right, but the Talmud of Jmmanuel came from the Middle East about 10 years prior to those very
Well, it was
famous
discovered in
countries.
1963.
Yes. He discovered this, him and his friend discovered this important historic document before he began talking to people from the Pleiades custody. Yeah.
All right. Well, it looks like, Dave, it's trivia time.
Why do you have a broccoli emoji?
I think that might just be I don't know. I don't know if that probably just comes with the YouTube. That's not one of the special member things. I don't think.
Yeah, it comes free with purchase.
Free with purchase. That's right.
Yep.
So here's the thing, everybody. I'm going to don't answer the question just yet,
Okay.
because I'm not entirely sure how this stupid pause button is going to work here. So I'm going to read the question, which you guys can't see it, and then I'm going to hit the resume game. So wait till I'm done reading the question before you answer. All right. So you can't see it on screen, but I will read it here. Art Bell's popular segment, Open Lines, allowed callers to share to call in and share. What was the maximum amount of minutes that a caller could spend in any given segment? What is the maximum number of minutes that any caller could have on the call-in segments? And go ahead and put in your answers now. $15. Dave
Oh, there we
says.
go. Is it actually going to show up this time?
3,000.
We'll see.
So I think maybe you got some
Somebody-
answers from last time. 3,000 minutes is too many minutes, I think.
Yeah.
How many minutes was the cutoff for the
Yeah, I'm
callers?
quite certain that 3,000 was from the last. I have doubts about your. It's awesome. This is fantastic.
It's a great experience. Yeah, I get it. Yeah,
Mhm.
it's good. All right, so it's tabulating. Everyone's going. 3, 2, 1. Now we will see.
Do, 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 do.
What was your guess, Dave? Now that now it's all
15
over.
was my guess.
15. So the correct answer was 5, according to
Ooh,
the internet.
way off. A couple people, well, Gritmonger definitely got it right on. A couple people did actually looking through the list.
That's right.
Yeah.
So for some reason I can't pause the game while we're on this screen. So that's great. But we can we can go off the screen. Anyway, congratulations Andy and Jeremiah and Gritmonger and all J Victor for getting that correct. We have 5 more questions after this. So if you're running behind, if you're not yet winning, don't worry about it. We got 5 more questions.
I think you might be right, Shannon. I think that is what it's doing.
Who in the what? What? Ooh.
Shannon, it's probably grabbing every number submitted after the previous cutoff.
Oh, maybe. But you don't know what the question's going to be, so that's maybe not a great.
So the 3,000 is probably not going to score super high.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, if you just want to guess what the next question's going to be, you can go for it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's go back to discovering our documents in the 1960s. I'm hoping we get to the aliens soon, because finding the archaeology isn't the exciting part.
Right. Mm-hmm. All right. So you came upon this document written mostly in German.
Yeah, it's been translated from the original Aramaic with the help of this priest who learned and understood some Aramaic into Meyer's language, which is German.
You see, I don't know that's my beer.
Is that
that's not bubbles. There's I think it's
what is that? Has it turned?
Yeah, something. I think we are just going to put that glass over there, and nobody sees the rest of that.
That's right.
Not you, not me, not God, not anybody. We'll just
no one's getting that one. All right.
Yep. Hide that away.
German or Swiss German.
Mm-hmm. And then you you had it translated into English, Jim?
Well, I had to go by a crude translation that had a lot of mistakes in it that came out in 1984, I believe it was. And later I tried to make my own corrections to it. It purports to say a lot of interesting things that New Testament scholars would find astounding, but yet would, I think, find no way a hoaxer could do. So I've been trying to turn myself into a New Testament scholar the last 10 years.
I guess you would have to, wouldn't you?
Just about. Just to see what their viewpoint would be and what their approach is.
Well, it's hard to know where to start with this. As you looked at this document, and then, as you mentioned, became a New Testament scholar, what did you begin to conclude about it, or how did...
I laugh, but I'm trying to do a very similar thing. I'm trying to become a New Testament scholar based on, late in life interests. So I got not much to say. This is hitting a little close.
Yeah, you're doing boring New Testament shit though. This guy is doing the good stuff. The
He's
cutting
discovered
edge
whole new documents.
Shit, Paul.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You try and decide whether you had a real document in your hands or whether you had a clever fake in your hands?
Well, it's evident right from the beginning that it's very similar in certain respects to the Gospel of Matthew. So similar that you know that if it isn't a hoax that was made after or from the Gospel of Matthew, then it was the original document from which the Gospel of Matthew drew as its source, from which the Gospel of Matthew got.
No, that's not okay at all.
Nope, that's exactly right.
No, the Gospel of Matthew, its primary source document is the Gospel of Mark.
I think the primary source for the Gospel of Matthew is Matthew. He was one of the disciples, Paul. It's like you've never even read the New Testament.
For those,
I apologize for my co-host, everybody. His ignorance is shocking.
But this guy doesn't think that Matthew wrote Matthew either. He thinks that somebody found his document and cribbed it. Now, did I hear correctly, Dave? Did he find this amongst the Dead Sea Scrolls? Is that where this was found?
Not in the so there's a preamble to the book before they get into it that is like talks about where they found it, and it was just a tomb, like I think it was in Turkey.
Oh, okay, so it wasn't the Dead Sea,
no,
per se. Okay,
no. Yeah, where's our trivia clock, friend?
Oh, trivia clock. Damn it.
Someone in chat pointed out. I didn't really. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. I am now like you though. I can't not listen to this hockey game.
Gotta figure out what teams these were in 1996. Yeah. Yep.
And then later the other Gospels.
Wasn't that the expansion year? No. The expansion was before that. It was like 94 or 90 something, right?
The Sharks came in. You're talking
like
about
the first
the
three,
Sharks
the Senators. I'm talking about was the Senators, Sharks, and Mighty Ducks?
No, it was the Florida Panthers, right?
Florida Panthers. Okay, yeah.
In that year, I think. That would have been around 96, yeah. Because when I was there, when I started moving to California in 99, they were a couple of years old. So that would have been right around that time. Yeah.
Anyways, we're boring everybody.
The document from which the
nice
Gospel of Matthew was written.
A copy of it, I would say.
I see. Well, if that's true, then how do you account for the apparent major differences between it and the Gospel of Matthew?
Well, you see, this
how do you account? How do you account for the differences between the thing you wrote?
Yeah.
And then I'm like, how does he?
Document is totally heretical to Christianity.
I understand that. That's why I'm asking, how do you account for those differences? In other words, if one was source for the other.
Yes, well, the compiler of Matthew would have had to filter out everything that was unacceptable to Christianity in the early 2nd century.
Mm-hmm.
Paul's teachings had taken hold.
No, Matthew was not written in this. I would love for Matthew to have been written in the 2nd century. That would be amazing.
Yeah,
but it was definitely written in the 1st century. Sorry, and
also,
go ahead.
Sorry, carry on. Yeah,
well, he is right though. Like he doesn't need to be 2nd century. The writings of Paul predate Matthew, so he doesn't need to give his weird dating for that to be true. So I'm gonna we'll just
I also
go.
like the all of this, the Gospels and Matthew and everything is heavily edited. These truths, these deep truths of Jesus' true teaching,
Correct.
because they didn't fit the I don't know, whatever the story, the message
Right.
of the early church.
The proto-orthodoxy, as it were.
Yeah.
Yes.
Although, if this is really the true teachings of Jesus, wouldn't the first century church was not a political powerhouse by any stretch, or why would you not just base your teachings on what's actually there? Why would you come up with all this other stuff that,
Well, the first century church, Dave, was filled with
I
denominations,
guess,
much like the current one was. Like there was.
to be
So, for
fair,
example,
the first century church was also quite full of people of Jewish descent who
yeah,
probably
this
would
was
have,
one of the things. So,
would have
so there was
fairly
a rather large split, Dave, on whether people who came to your church had to cut part of their penis off or not.
yeah, yep.
That was a real big thing. That was one of the the schisms, as
If
it
part of
were.
your core teachings are that the Jews will be cursed, persecuted, and are spiritually blind throughout the centuries, that's a hard sell to Jews, I imagine. You're gonna have a hard time get that going. So I can see why you would put a spin on that. Yeah.
That's true.
Well,
Yeah, so there were factions. There were factions from the early days. That's not wrong.
Years or so later.
I think we missed the super chat here. I think
yeah.
Gritmonger. It's like lemony snickets, only for Bible fan fiction.
Bible fan fiction. That's right. Yeah. This is a Bible /fic.
Well, that we might have some, Mary on Mary action. We don't know.
The middle of the
I
first
was hoping for that
century,
Pippin on Mary action. That's a different /fic.
That's
my own personal.
Yeah, and that would be clearly.
Yeah.
So
And that is one of the rules.
male hobbit would not be frowned upon in the Talmud Jmmanuel.
Yeah. Paul doesn't have many rules for me in this stream, but one of them is I can't share my my various Lord of the Rings erotic fan fictions. Yeah.
Nor your Dune erotic fan fiction, nor your Star Trek erotic fan fiction. It's a long
Really, yeah. It's not so much the intellectual property; it's more the yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Presumably, if I ever wrote an non-erotic fan fiction, I might be able to share that. It's never happened, so we don't know. But
you start out with good intentions.
Yeah,
it's just going to be, this is just going to be a straightforward time about the time the Doctor met Captain Picard.
Yeah, just like Dostoevsky, except it always turns into 50 Shades of Grey. The heart wants what the heart wants, Paul.
Well, that route, the people that might have believed in Jesus' true teachings, most of them ended up as Gnostics, enemies of the early church. And
that's what I was saying. The Gnostic group is the one that there were several Gnostic groups, and this is way too serious. I'm going to need to drink a lot more. The Gnostics were the ones that thought that they had the secret knowledge. Gnostic meaning knowledge, knowing. Each of the Gnostic groups thought that there was some secret key or interpretation by which the plain reading of all these texts didn't have the true stuff. It was some secret way of reading it.
Right.
They didn't have
now. That's fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
But just me throughout non sequitur, would sour cream be good on hard boiled eggs? And I have a lot of thoughts on that, and I would like to devote the rest of this stream to this and related topics.
I'll let you give at least your one.
Sour cream is
answer.
good on everything. There's almost nothing. There's exceptions to every rule, but generally sour cream, it's a flavor enhancer. It just makes stuff better. Maybe that's the good Polish farm stock in me, but I'm telling you,
couldn't disagree more.
Throw a dollop of sour cream in there. It even makes beet soup delicious.
Authority or any organization and their teachings just varied all over the place, and they didn't have anything written down that kept them going like the.
All right, well, let's cut through it here and try and find out exactly what is in this document. What is it that it says that would surprise us or shock us, I guess, that Jesus is an alien? Is that what it says?
Not quite. There's a small correction necessary there.
All right.
His father was an.
You can't be taking back the Jesus is an alien now. You sold us on Jesus is an alien. It's not.
That
You
is
can't.
the,
There's no not quite.
Yeah.
All in. Also, I don't understand this super chat, Dave.
I don't either. Something happened. It disappeared. I don't see it.
Oh, I
I saw it pop up.
Can I even click on it? I'm not even sure I can click on it. Okay, it went
click on
away.
It went
I'm
away.
sorry, Timothy. Well, Timothy thought better of it, and
Perhaps.
so
In which case, maybe it's rude of us to draw attention to
I
it.
guess I trust your judgment. Then
Yeah. But if you gave us money, we appreciate it. And
yes, I
we're
do
always
hate
glad to
peanut
have
butter.
you here with us, Timothy.
peanut butter is peanut butter makes me do things that I don't like. So yeah, that's but I love peanuts, so it makes no sense.
Alien, the one that mentioned as Gabriel.
I'm sorry, his father, what?
His father was the alien. His mother is Mary.
Oh, I
the
see.
Earthling.
I see. Jesus isn't an alien. No, Dave. You don't.
guess,
Arch, don't be ridiculous. He's not an alien. He's a half alien.
He's half alien. That is true. They do spell that out. That it's Mary was impregnated by.
Very good. All right.
Yeah.
We're back
By
on
alien,
track.
so.
I feel like good. Half alien. All right.
In the interests of science, he is a scholar,
Mhm.
a professor of studies
And he's gonna get.
at the University of Oregon.
In fact, I overreacted and I was premature in my criticism, and I apologize.
Yeah. There he accepts your apology.
Alien.
Half alien, half human.
Yes. You remember a week or two ago you had an abductee on your program named Katerina?
I do, yes. Katerina
Well,
Wilson.
She knows that her mother is sure that Katerina's birth was an abnormal thing, that she'd had an alien father. Well, it's very similar to that. And this
So Katerina, who was on the show a few weeks back,
Yeah.
might be like Jesus's like half brother,
Sister.
Yeah, half sister. Thank you.
I mean,
Half
Paul,
sibling.
that's incredibly speciest of you. Not all. Why would they be related? Because all you people are family, right?
You people.
Good God, Paul.
I was going by literally. It might be the same one alien who's going around just impregnating people.
I guess that's true.
Like
You know.
I'm thinking like Ego, right? Like Ego the planet.
Yeah. If somebody's coming, light years and light years to bangify a human woman, the odds are it's going to be the same jackass doing it again.
That's right. Yep.
Yeah.
That's all I meant.
case, except that the alien in the case of Emmanuel, which we believe to be his original name, those aliens were very, very humanoid in appearance and everything. You might as well just call them humans too.
Oh, the famous aliens that look exactly like humans,
Yeah.
like Kal-El.
And he knew this because
Well, presumably this document's going to lay this out. The Talmud Jmmanuel wouldn't lie to us, Dave. It was written.
I guess.
It was written in Aramaic. They didn't know about such things.
I mean, angels have an awful lot of descriptions in the Old Testament. It's not all. Anyways,
To be fair,
moving on.
the aliens also came down and bangified some humans, ladies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
Well, but they're all the same, Paul. That's the thing about this.
wait, aliens and angels are the same?
The angels are aliens. That's
The
that's
angels
one of
are
the things of it, right?
Oh,
yeah.
I see. So
Mm-hmm.
they're not celestial beings per se. They're celestial beings, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, but there's a big difference, Jim. Either you're human or you're not. You may look like a human, but if you are not of human origin, if you're not from Earth, then you're not a human, right?
Yes, this brings into a lot of questions, various uncertainties. We don't know if these Pleiadians are still genetically compatible with us or not, but they could well be.
Well, if they fostered a child, that's literally the definition. Like you can't if you to be the same species, the definition often is that you can create fertile offspring. So you got to be genetic. If they made a Jesus, then they're compatible. That's all I'm saying.
Well, they used alien space magic.
Oh, maybe they some fertility clinic, perhaps. Some aids, as it were.
Oh,
We're how fortunate even that the plumbing is compatible. Really,
yeah. That's why they keep coming back to Earth. They found.
We found a species where our plumbing works.
Yeah,
Neat.
exactly.
All right, Melody Kate sends a super chat. You want to read this one, Dave?
I do. He knows because he had relations with the aliens. Cheers, gentlemen. Cheers to you, Melody Kate.
That's funny.
He laid with them.
And a very generous $20 super chat. We appreciate you.
Very
Melody.
generous. Yes, thank you so much.
Whereas we know the Greys and other aliens like that must have to do a lot of genetic manipulation to make any hybridization like that work.
All right. Well, how do we approach this subject? In other words, what in these teachings?
Now I'm curious.
Okay.
What is Jim Deardorff what is his field of academics? He is a professor apparently at Oregon State University of some kind. He has a doctorate, I believe it said.
All right.
Let's look, because he pledged for the authenticity of these scrolls, so presumably he's got some kind of background. While you're doing that, I'm going to read the super chat from Timothy Harmon. Jim Deardorff.
Coast to coast, maybe. Are you reading?
Timothy Harmon says, "Are you saying Jesus was fertile?" I mean, probably.
Well, if you're familiar with the other Gnostic gospel, I'm trying to think of the Da Vinci Code, the other Gnostic gospel.
Yes.
Yes, Shannon, you can we can let the dog outside. Yep. Yeah. So I'm looking for Jim Deardorff. I'm just randomly clicking links. Maybe I shouldn't.
Let's see. So, publication on the distribution of mean radioactive cooling at the top of stratocumulus cap mixed layer by James W. Deardorff of Oregon State University. Paper on extraterrestrial communications, inflation theory implications for extraterrestrial visitation. Well, he's big into aliens. Yeah. Meteorology. He's a meteorologist. Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Okay, so which is he? He's at DePaul University?
Well, I'm going Oregon State University.
Oh, Oregon State?
Yeah.
Oregon.
Or he was anyways at the time of this show. I don't know his whole life story.
Oh, Deardorff. Yeah. I was spelling it wrong. Well, there's the problem. Oregon State University. Apparently he was involved. Yeah, that's right. He was involved in ufology. Mm-hmm. So this is James Deardorff. What were you looking at?
We're trying to figure out what his actual doctorates are and stuff. It looks like meteorology.
Meteorology. Okay. Perfect.
So before he went into verifying these documents, so his meteorological expertise is like, yep, these are definitely legit, and also led itself to, witness investigations, ufology. Okay. So anyway,
are we guessing it's this guy? We're guessing it's this old guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Seems to be.
Oh, did he pass? Oh, no, that's a different one. I think it's a different. There's a lot of James Deardorffs. We don't know.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, he was writing academic papers in looks like 80s and going. So he's been around. He could,
all right. All right. Well, good for you, Jim. Meteorologist.
Yeah.
Turned.
This is just part of the amazing research we do.
This is correct. This is how you know we didn't pre-screen this stuff.
Yeah.
Gives you reason to believe that they are valid versus what we find in the Bible.
Well, in my book, I just go through these systematically after I try to.
Right, but we don't have the advantage of being able to read your book here, so you're going to have to tell us, give us some idea.
That's a bit of a scolding. Yeah. It's like,
Well, in my book, I lay it all out. Yeah. So I don't know if you know this. This is a radio show.
we's on the radio.
Yeah.
All right, so here we're at trivia time again.
Oh, okay.
Trivia
Well,
clock
thank
was
goodness.
going.
I was worried we were going to get more of this show done.
So
Yes,
I
trivia
think
time.
I got this. I think I got a method here figured out for.
You got it figured out? Okay.
Well, not figured out per se, but I figured out at least how to read this thing. Unfortunately, I can't change the color for you guys
Well,
mid game. So I'm gonna read it. I'm gonna read it for everybody, and then I'm gonna announce when it's time to
you
start.
got
Okay?
that deep sonorous voice, so we
All right.
love hearing it.
Here's question number 3.
Mhm.
Art Bell was known for fascination with the number 13. How many times did he reference the number 13 during his last episode of Coast to Coast AM?
Oh.
All right, so the clock's going. How many times did... Oh, and it's people who are guessing years earlier were they're in trouble. All right, so how many times did Art Bell mention the number 13 during his last and final episode of Coast to Coast AM?
Oh, that's very nice, James. Congratulations. I assume you successfully completed it and just didn't watch out.
All right, so we got a lot of the guesses coming in here. Did you get your guess in, Dave?
I got my guess, and it even flashed by on the screen.
Okay.
Still kind of mad about the first one, but
All right, well, here we go.
I feel like
So-
there was an obvious answer I didn't do, but maybe.
Well, there was an obvious answer, and well, it was compelling enough
it
for
13?
me.
Is
The
it-
correct
yeah,
answer
God.
is 13. 13 times
Nabbit. I'm a
he
dope.
referenced the number 13 on his final show. And look
13,
at all the people
yeah.
who guessed
All
correctly.
the people who are so much smarter than me.
Yep.
You know what? Why don't all of you host YouTube shows if you're so damn smart?
Oh, and Shannon got in on the right answer as well.
You and me, Jay Victor. We don't need the rest of them.
The
Whitney Owen.
rest of them. So congratulations to all
got
of you.
it.
So there are 4 more questions before we crown the winner.
There he goes.
Did we miss a super chat? Is that what happened?
We did miss a super chat.
All right. So hold on. I'll throw that on the screen. Perhaps you can read that for me.
Just finished my master's in jazz composition. The show helped my sanity during recital prep. Thanks, guys. Go Oilers next year.
Thank you so
Go
much.
all the way to the
James.
bottom of the league, you sons of bitches. Go Flames, go.
So, Dave, speaking of hockey,
Yes,
since
Paul?
we were speaking of hockey,
Yeah.
so for the last 2 years, the only team to beat the Oilers
Yeah.
won the cup, which means one cannot necessarily refute the fact that perhaps the Oilers were in fact the second best team. We can't know.
I feel like we can.
No, we can know. We can't know because no one.
Paul,
Yes,
I want you to look directly into the camera and tell me that you think the Oilers were the second best team in the NHL for the last 2 years running.
No. That's not
No,
what.
look me in the eye and say that, you lying son of a bitch.
The Oilers were the second best team in the playoffs this last year.
You think so?
Yes, I
Do you honestly believe that?
No one gave the Knights nearly the run the Oilers did. The Knights walked over everyone else like they weren't even there.
That's true. That is true. I actually thought the Oilers had a shot this year.
Yeah. So 2 years in a row. That's how.
What about last year?
Last year? Probably not. But they also gave Colorado a very
They gave Colorado a good fight.
good fight.
Yeah.
More than I don't know what it is.
But I feel like last year there was a pretty big discrepancy between the East and the West just in general, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Well, and this year also, as soon as like Boston eliminated right off the bat, well, then it's like, well, they were the only good team the East had. So that was kind of inevitable. Anyway, we do not talk. We'll now should limit our hockey to like maybe identifying.
we'll save that for our hockey podcast.
That's right, our hockey. Also, unless we hear. If someone in the chat, if you hear a name in that game that is being announced in the background, I'm very curious. So,
I'm kind of tempted. I'm gonna
all right, go
put some
look and
notes
see
a little bit.
what the
See if I can
what
figure
the
it
date
out.
of the episode was.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, to get to the
Put up the trivia clock.
easiest things, perhaps the UFO-like aspect of the Star of Bethlehem would be one thing that you'd find pretty convincing when you read along.
I will say this. A UFO is more convincing to me than the notion that people followed a star anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
You can't follow a star to a house. That doesn't work.
I mean, you get kind of close, and then you just feel it. You
At
feel
what
it
point?
the rest of the way.
Like at what point are you like, yeah, I'm under the star now. I wasn't 10 minutes ago. Like, I don't know how you.
You kind of feel it,
At least the UFO presumably could like shine a light down or like could hover lower. So
It's like how sometimes you can just tell when there's like you're gonna get a static shock because you kind of put your hand like thing and you can sort of you know what I'm talking about, that sensation of just
yeah.
that's how you know a Messiah's there. You just kind of feel it. Yeah.
So no, I'm handing this to Jim. I'm actually now on board with the Jesus alien thing because it is more believable.
I'm 100% sold on this.
I'm not saying 100%, but I'm more sold than the actual Book of Matthew. So
I see.
Good on you.
Would understand that. Well, this is just what they might call a UFO in those days when
Absolutely.
they don't have.
That is also a good point. I'm getting more convinced. So yes, if the Magi from the East were following what they were calling a star,
Mm-hmm.
at some point, if the craft is high enough in the sky, to a first century person, that's going to be indistinguishable from a star.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm on Team Jim here.
That word.
Right, a bright star in the sky, or seemingly a star, but of course moved. And so traditionally, if that were seen today, it would certainly be called a UFO.
No, today it would be a weather balloon or a satellite or something. If you see, or an airplane, yeah.
Yes, and you have to figure out some way that the wise men, the Magi, could have been informed back in their own home country to the east, wherever that was, to drop everything and start going to the west in the direction that this object in the sky led them. But still, they had to know that it had to do something with the birth of a marvelous child. So this is something a UFO and its occupants can do, talk through mental telepathy,
That is certainly true.
And that got the wise men to as far as Jerusalem. And there they asked around of Herod. They knew where this child was, and Herod didn't know, so he convened the chief priests and scribes, and they figured out that according to the book of Micah, chapter 5 or something like that, this child should be born in Bethlehem. So they directed them towards Bethlehem, but about that time the object reappeared after the wise men got started towards Bethlehem and led them the rest of the way.
I mean, he's not wrong. He's just basically he's just retelling the Bible. We've all kind of we've read the book of Matthew
Directly to the very birthplace, which of course again no star can do.
Correct. No star can do that. I'm with you. Jim.
So it's just a minor alteration that the compiler of Matthew's Gospel did. He changed a unknown object in the sky that had strange powers that nobody could understand then into a more normal object and try to make it look acceptable enough so that he could retain part of the story anyhow, as much as he could.
I feel like if you're writing part of the Bible, you can just say strange thing in the sky with powers I don't understand. And that's actually like
Probably.
Yep. Yeah. That sounds like God to me. God things, doing God stuff.
So what
I found the sorry, I don't want to cut you off.
No, do it. Go. What do you say?
I found the NHL schedule for November 13th, 1994.
Mm-hmm.
There were like 8 games. So we had the Devils at the Nordiques. We had Boston at Florida. We had sadly gone Hartford at Ottawa. The Capitals at the Rangers. Dallas Stars at Philly. Calgary at Anaheim.
Ooh.
And St. Louis at Chicago. And somebody is now vacuuming directly above me. I don't know if you can hear it. Yeah. Oh, well.
I can't. I can't hear it, so that's good. Your noise canceling, whatever you got going.
So if any of those, I don't know if you remember that. So we got some contenders. If we can catch a name or something, we should be able to figure this out.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to think about all those teams in the '90s era.
Yeah. The trouble is we don't know where the person who's recording this broadcast was.
Correct. That is, yes.
If we knew that, we could probably
exactly,
figure out.
because Art was broadcasting from
literally coast to coast.
Well,
he was broadcasting from the Nevada.
Generally, though, actually, when I was researching the trivia questions, one of the things I learned, I don't think I made it a question, but was that he occasionally would like just go on his vacations.
Yeah.
And they would let him. He wouldn't say anything about it, but he would like go on his vacations and do the show from wherever. So
yeah,
but it was.
And I can't remember this guy
Nevada.
said where he was calling from. I think Oregon, right? Like he was
right
from in there.
But you're right. Like this could have been literally it could have been someone in Saskatchewan.
Because we're listening. This is clearly just recorded off the radio.
Right.
What we're listening to. Yeah.
But
so
this could have been someone from Prairie, Canada, recording the game.
Yeah. Could have been somebody from Niagara Falls or whatever.
Yep.
So because we're getting interference on the AM radio from some other.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right. I think we got to. Did we miss a super chat here?
Did we? Yes, we did. Timothy Harmon, our good friend. Because the Magi were certainly real / plausible, and because Jesus was born in Bethlehem, again, checks out so far.
Actually, oddly. But he did point on the one thing that was the least believable part of that story was that a star guided them there. So he actually did fix the biggest problem. Now all the things that Timothy lays out
this is a common misconception, Paul, that they were guided by like seeing the star in the sky and following it. No, the star told them where to go.
Oh, it was verbal. Yeah, I see.
Like, hey, head over here.
That is That is a misconception on my part.
The Magi were experimenting with the healing properties of various plants.
That's right.
And the star told them, guided them.
And then the government officials said, "Hey, star, how about for say $250,000 a year, you just go away."
Yeah.
So the theory is it was a UFO. It was of extraterrestrial origin.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
All right.
So that is just one of many major heresies. You could go on to another one and say that
just one of many heresies.
Lay it all out, drive everybody crazy right here at the beginning.
Emmanuel being a contactee would be another one. Apparently, during those 40 days and nights when he was supposedly out in the wilderness being tempted by the devil, this was right after the baptism at the Jordan. The thing that actually came down from the sky wasn't a spirit that...
I'm totally distracted by the hockey game.
Oh, no. So we're talking about the Jesus 40 days and nights in the desert.
Yep.
Yes.
Dove or anything. It was a UFO at that occasion, too. And then after that happened, Emmanuel went into the UFO and it took off. And instead of being in the wilderness for 40 days and nights, he was away receiving contactees' instructions and learning what his mission was and all that for 40 days and nights.
All right, so Art, what does Art have to?
That is a bit of a difference, all right.
Yeah, but
it is a understated Art, though.
Oh yes, okay. Well, that is different.
Yes, so rather than being in the desert fasting, being tempted by the devil, you went to a spaceship and got your orders. I see what you did there.
Yeah, got your instructions. We should have. You know what, Paul? Because I listened to
this is a plot element from Life of Brian. Life of Brian knows better than. Yes.
Yeah. At the start of the show, Art essentially gives a viewer discretion advised a content warning for this, which he doesn't usually do. Where he was like, you might get upset by what you're hearing today.
So you're gonna get upset.
You had
Well,
a
I do
fairly
know
religious audience. Yeah.
it doesn't go that deep in before they start getting callers. So we'll see if you and
Yeah.
I can make it to the point where they start getting callers, because
Great
I'm
callers.
sure that there's gonna
Always
be
yeah.
some Americans with some stuff to say.
Yeah.
One thing that hasn't changed very much is that even today, UFOs are called by quite a few people instruments of the devil in fundamental branches of Christianity, anyhow. So,
Oh,
He's not wrong about that either. There was a whole movie that came out like 3 or 4 years ago, pre-COVID.
Fire in the Sky?
Fire in the Sky, was that what it was? Where it was just
No.
basically
Fire in the Sky is about a guy that gets
Oh no,
kidnapped
that's
by
right.
aliens
But
and tortured.
but that was my instinct to say Fire in the Sky. There was a movie that came out in some select theaters. Hopefully you were selected. That was basically trying to say that alien abduction stories were
Pray to God
accurate.
that your theater is selected.
That's right.
Yeah.
Thank you for catching my reference, Dave. I appreciate
did,
you.
Yeah.
My
No
David
problem.
Letterman reference.
It was very good.
The movie was basically trying to pitch that there's too much consistency when you compare alien abduction stories to like Bible stories and things like that. You almost have to, if you're going to say that like eyewitness testimony for one is fine, then it actually
Right.
needs to be fine for the other. So with all this eyewitness testimony, we should say that these alien abduction stories are happening, but they are misattributing them to they're actually demons that are coming in. Like, building you.
So it wasn't that they are aliens in the Bible; it's that
Right.
aliens are demons. Okay,
Correct. Yeah. So
Yeah.
this, so our guest Jim here, he basically said, well, some people falsely say that aliens are demons, and
Yeah.
so that he's not
Paul.
wrong.
Is it not possible
Yes.
all of these demon experiences are
Mhm.
actually aliens? You never watched Ancient Aliens, did you? You're
No, I never did. No.
Yeah. Is it not possible? That's the like. I mean, I guess it's not a zero chance.
Yep. I actually
We're
did
missing
promise.
you got some super chats going on.
Yep. The first source of brother. I did actually promise someone that I would watch a season of Ancient Aliens, and I haven't fulfilled that promise. So I do need to do that at some point.
Just the first season's like it just watch the first season.
But I promised someone who believes it to be
oh,
true.
well, we'll
and
talk about
good.
that off chat.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
anyway,
I have questions.
wait, is this the resin coated gospel?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's correct. That's the one.
To be fair, this is the English translation of the German translation of the resin coated gospel.
That's right,
So we got a bit of a babblefish situation going on here.
And Jay Victor, thank you for your $5. AM radio has considerably greater range at night, so this recording could be from literally anywhere. It's true.
It's very true. Yeah,
Yep.
it's very true. Yep.
But I did hear someone in the last segment got a power play.
Yes, it's.
So
Did you ever? Okay, so
Mhm.
this whatever. Fuck it. We're not. We're just.
I
off
want to
into
get to the
weeds
callers. Go
here.
ahead.
Yeah. I don't know if did you ever do this? So there was a period when I would often watch hockey. So I'd watch like the CBC or the whatever broadcast, but I would find the local AM radio.
Oh, for sure.
I would listen to the AM radio, but while watching the hockey game, because I always
100%.
found the radio team was always so much better because they had to. They're doing it for like people can't see the game, so they have
Right.
to be. And it's like I always found the best commentating is radio commentating for sports.
Though, one of the things I did from that was like how much they actually fudge and lie on the radio.
Oh yeah,
too.
that's the other thing that's funny. Where they'd be like, so it was like, he's going crazy. It's not. He's going. It's the guy kind of like skating, having
it's-
one
it's
hand
not
on the
quite.
stick. Sorta,
You're overselling this a little bit more. Yeah.
It's like he's just hanging out behind the net, waiting for the lines to shift and go. Yeah.
And since we're on this, so Ronald Reagan, before he was president, before he was governor, before he was even an actor, I think. So he was a radio announcer.
Yes, that was before he was an actor.
And so one of the things that came out later in his memoirs was that when he was announcing radio for away games, so they sometimes wouldn't send him to the game, but he was literally calling from his home in California.
Right.
And what they were doing, they were teletyping him the balls and the strikes.
Right. And he's just
So
making
all
it
that
up.
stuff was correct, but everything between
Yeah.
he was making up. Yeah. So
But there was no like you could get away with that.
yeah,
Like I've seen other things sort of like that from the day before, or like old wrestling shows, the professional wrestlers, right, where they would do the exact same, you know, upset, you know, or betrayal or whatever, like 50 times in a row, going, you know, because they would do 4 shows a week, just
Right.
traveling small town to small town and playing for like 1,000 people, because none of the people here have seen this before, and it's like, oh, he betrayed, you know, whatever. Ric Flair stabbed me in the back and went, and you can do it again in the next town. You can do it again in the next town. You can keep being betrayed over and over and over again because nobody's seen it. There's no
Exactly,
TV.
right?
There's no, right? Yeah.
that's amazing. James just super chatted us with a brilliant point.
Yes,
Game times might narrow it down.
it's true. I mean, if we were really honestly interested in this, we could probably.
No, but he's probably right. It is probably a West Coast game.
Yeah, that's true. Because Art, it would have had to have been, because East Coast would be like Coast to Coast only came on at like after midnight East Coast
Right.
time.
So most likely was that it was a game that was being played in the west of the Rockies.
And we're already
as
probably
they
later
would
on
have said.
into the time.
Yep.
Yeah.
So was Vancouver playing or Sharks?
There was Anaheim was playing, Calgary and Anaheim.
Oh, so yeah.
That's the only West Coast game. Everybody else, New Jersey at Quebec, Boston at Florida, Hartford at Ottawa, Washington at Rangers,
None of those.
Dallas at Philadelphia. I guess it could be in Dallas, but that's not really West.
Maybe. It could have been third period Central Time, sure.
Then the other, and St. Louis at Chicago. So like there's a ton of East Coast stuff.
Chicago's
there.
still Central Time. So
I guess. Yeah.
No. So I'm just saying that it's probably the Calgary, Anaheim.
Probably Calgary and Anaheim. Yeah.
Interesting. All right.
My boys.
Keep your ears
Also,
open.
I just want to throw it, Mark. A power play is when a player gets a penalty and you have to get off the ice for a certain number of minutes. How many minutes depends on the severity of the penalty. And the game keeps going. So now your team is shorthanded and the other team is on a power play.
Right. So one team gets to have more players on the ice than the other team. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, trivia time. Okay. So once again, I'm going to read the trivia. But no one answer until I've read the question. I will resume the game. All right. Actually, I guess you can answer because it sounds like
Now we can read it here. Yeah.
Oh, good. Oh, the background has changed enough. Okay.
Because we don't have the trees. Yeah.
All right. So let's just read it here. Art Bell's radio show gained a massive following, reaching listeners from various time zones, as we were just talking about. How many radio stations carried Coast to Coast AM during its peak popularity? And I'm actually going to just caveat this. Per their website, what was the peak number that Art said that they were
I've heard this
by?
before, but I can't remember.
So everyone can enter your number. What how many radio stations at its peak carried Coast to
Oh,
Coast?
Vishanti's swinging for the fences on this one. Tick, 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 tick. Boom. Also, if anybody in this channel isn't watching Silo, you need to start watching Silo.
Is on a silo kick.
I'm on a Silo kick.
All right. So now we get I hope you got your answers in. Hope everyone got your numbers. Hope you're happy with your numbers. The correct answer is 600 according to the website. So it's acknowledged that the number was higher than 600, but no one knows how much higher than 600.
I was way over. On I feel like the Undertaker body slammed Yokozuna.
Maybe.
I definitely was very much watching wrestling at that time. I'm trying to. I remember because I loved Yokozuna because Jim Cornette managed him, and I always liked Jim Cornette. Well, there you go, Vishanti. You can educate me. You can tell me if I'm right or wrong.
Congratulations, Luminous Gitsui and Shannon Q and Andy Placaris and
Yeah,
Michael
congratulations,
Massaro.
Shannon. So glad you got this right.
All right, so now we need to pause the game and get that
Oh
off
well,
the
there we
screen.
go. We already saw. We saw the name. We got
No,
a spoiler alert for the next.
I guess if you go pause that, you can get a little spoiler, but that's
Not
all right.
Undertaker. Well, can you? You're gonna have to. You do it. Did Lex Luthor do it? Lex Luger. Lex Luthor. I feel like Vishanti and I would get along very, very well. I think we would have a lot of fun if we went out for a beer sometime.
You just like people in general, so
I do like people in general.
You're probably not wrong, but
I put up with you. I got to be
exactly.
one of the most...
You are one of the few who can tolerate me, and that's why I appreciate you. All right.
Yeah.
No question about it. I get people calling them that all the time.
It was easy for the compiler of Matthew's Gospel, after he read what happened in this Talmud Jmmanuel document, to make that little alteration and change it to the devil. Have it be.
I do appreciate that he's not even deigning to call it the author of Matthew. It's just the compiler of Matthew. He just copied my book.
It's the same God that could do these powerful things. Well, another just a single sentence in the Talmud Jmmanuel mentions Emmanuel having spent many years in India in his youth.
Yes.
So there you'll recall the stories you've probably heard of those lost years having been spent in India from other sources. And this confirms that. Of course, again, Holzer would say it's the other way around, so it doesn't prove anything that way. But it's interesting that it's just one brief sentence in the whole Talmud Jmmanuel, which is a longer document than the Gospel of Matthew is by several chapters worth.
Well, Jim, you have a great advantage. You have studied these documents carefully now for 6 years. Are you convinced in your own mind they are authentic?
Yes, I would say so, although there's a possibility that some of the alterations that crept in after Meyer first published it, and then his contacts resumed. This gets back to the Meyer case.
Yes.
His contact resumed in 1989, and he was told that the Talmud Jmmanuel, as he had it, had quite a few errors in it that hadn't been carefully enough edited and everything originally, and that his contactor told him.
That was in one of your reviews there.
Yes.
Where it's like, this isn't the real Talmud Jmmanuel. This has been corrupted.
I didn't read that one. Yeah, somebody went on a link, about how this is just a copy. This is not the real one. Yes.
What the corrections were, and he entered all those in and got a revised vision, changed the verse numbers around, stuff like that. But it's only about 5% change from what it was.
Changed the verse number. So that's not how the verse numbers work. You don't get to. It wasn't like, hey, these weren't the divinely inspired verse numbers. We had to change those around.
So we can probably ignore that here. But sort of muddies up the waters, I think, a little bit.
Well, it does, and who is to know whether he made corrections that made the document more accurate or made corrections that were the...
I'm sorry, but you're clearly very interested in this treatise on New Testament scholarship, and I'm very interested in Vishanti and mine's conversation about 1990s wrestling stars. And I want to go on to a thing about Ron Simmons and what he meant to devil wrestling and talk about that. But we can't. We got to talk about this goddamn alien Jesus bullshit.
We're aliens. We want to get to the callers.
Themselves inaccurate. But you say it only represents about 5% of the total document at best.
Yeah, and actually my book came out before we had those corrections available in the final version. So I was just going by the earlier version in 1978.
Yeah, do the corrections that you've seen in your estimation make it more or less credible as a document?
About 50-50. Some do, and some could be construed as being suspicious elements.
I see. Ooh. Well, okay, we're still dealing with a document
Yeah, 50. So why are we talking about this? So, yeah, my alien... my document that says that Jesus was an alien.
Yeah.
Some of the people, their problem with it is that some of the verse numbers aren't where they're supposed to be.
Yeah, that's the wait.
That's the big
wait.
crux of it.
Wait. Yeah. Your translation's a little iffy here,
Yeah.
Buckaroo.
Go.
At least 95% of a document, even if you
That's
erase
not how you
the
spell
changes that were
Arimathea.
made, which purports that what we believe to have been Jesus was, in fact, not all
We are
human,
now
correct?
moving
Ooh.
to I think I showed this, the Barreling Tide Distillery, 5 Fathom Rum.
That you and I
I really
went to
liked it. I
together.
still very much. This was one of the less expensive bottles
Hmm.
that I got in Nova Scotia, but it is I really, really like this. That was in that that was the one that was just in that like random. Remember, we just stopped at like this little random town, and yeah,
Yeah.
delicious rum. You should go back and get some for yourself at some point.
Well, no, we have some in the cupboard. Shannon has some.
Oh, well, there you
Yeah.
go. Good job, Shannon.
Yep.
Yeah, half alien from aliens who say they're from the Pleiades.
That's my girl.
What about motive? I'll tell you what. I'll ask you about that in just a moment. Jim Deardorff, stand by. We'll be right back to you. Steel teachings, and he maintains that Christ was actually only half human, the other half alien.
To be fair, Christians only say that Jesus was half human as well. So,
It's true. That actually is very true. Yeah.
so there's no debate about that he was half human. It's the other
Yeah.
half.
Nobody's saying he wasn't half human.
That's right.
Literally nobody is saying he wasn't half human. It's just what the other half was.
That's right.
Jim, are you
Was
there?
it lizard person?
Okay, good.
Was it alien?
If you were sitting down trying to convince somebody that these teachings were correct, and you just had but a few moments to kind of capsulize what you've written about this document, how would you do it? What would you tell them?
Well, I wouldn't try to in just a very few minutes.
Art is trying hard. He's like, can you tell me anything that's going to make my audience care about your Jesus book?
Yes.
Because I'm setting you up, and you're like, hey, does everyone
Here's
agree
the
that it's
pitch,
right?
buddy.
He's like, no, half
It's
the people
slow.
think it's garbage. What do they
Straight.
think is garbage? Verse numbers.
All right, I have
All
a
right.
lot of problems with some of the census data in Deuteronomy. Let me tell you about it here.
So Art's like, okay, let's try again. We went to the commercial break. We came back from break. Hey, what is the exciting, hard-hitting stuff that you can give us?
Yeah.
Well, let me...
This is the I know Art's pain, you know. When you're really the only show on AM radio at that time of night. Trying
Just
to hit
as
all
we are
of
the
them.
only, it's my understanding
As
we're
we're
the only
stream.
show on YouTube
That's why
right
we have
now.
to talk about hockey. We have to talk about wrestling.
That's right.
We have to talk about New Testament scholarship. We have to talk about my various erotic fan fictions. We have to talk about
That's right.
Silo.
We have to buy
We have to-
the
every
coffee
box.
tables and cupboards because
Coffee
apparently
tables and cupboards. Yep.
the
Should
new
I read
super
this? I
chat-
feel like it's addressed to you, Paul. So I'll say it on behalf
Mm-hmm.
of Timothy Hartman. Cupboard? Question mark. Buy Shannon a wine credenza, you cheapskate. Paul.
I will. We haven't picked one yet. That's the real problem, but that's fine.
Oh well, there you go. Hot news. You heard it on Toast to Toast first.
I also
picking out a wine credenza.
I'm wary of the. I feel like the credenza will also collect clutter.
Well,
I'm
but I
wary
mean, a
of this.
credenza can be like 6 or 7 feet tall, right? So like, it's not really. You can have credenzas that aren't a convenient height to place things on. So
Okay,
I
well
feel
that's a good tip for me.
yeah. So
Oh, we have former trivia winner Olivia Williams.
former trivia winner Olivia Williams super chatted. I assume following your method to get to that amount. They actually say he's 100% humans and 100% God. It's supposed to be God with a capital G, but we'll let it slide this time, Olivia.
So that's right. Maybe Jim will tell us he's 100% human. Oh, we have another one. Someone chiming in with the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100% human.
You see, yeah, no, Catholic Orthodoxy says Jesus was 100% human and 100% God. They're theologians, not mathematicians, nor in this case meteorologists.
But the thing, genetically,
Yeah.
I think if you press them on it, even the Pope, I think if you pressed the Pope, genetically was Jesus half human. He would say yes, but maybe not. I don't know. I haven't.
Maybe
I
he
haven't,
would say Jesus is 100% human because
haven't met
everything
this
that
Pope.
made it. I've certainly not looked into this, but you know,
Fair
yeah.
enough. All right, so this half human thing, maybe. All right, well, maybe I'm wrong about that. I can be wrong about things.
Yeah, and 50% bear pig.
Best example I know of is a little bit complicated and takes maybe 3 or 4 or 5 minutes.
Okay.
But before we get started on that, I thought you wanted to go through all the heresies, the major.
That's true. I do. So let's stay with that for
Heresies.
a moment.
Let's get a heresy list
after
going
Emmanuel
here.
returned from India, having studied under the great masters and gurus there, when he taught in Palestine, he naturally taught reincarnation and karma rather than resurrection.
Oh, there's another one.
Yeah, that's another big one.
All right, Art can tell.
Bit rum everywhere. Well,
Like,
there's
I
another
hope we get to the callers because you're right. Because the American Christian callers
or not. Okay, I'll try and be good. I'll keep my mouth shut.
are gonna hate this.
Yeah, it sure is. Reincarnation and karma.
Yeah. You've had, I think, aspects of that on some of your shows before.
Absolutely.
So it wouldn't come as any surprise to your listeners. But
No, but it's going to come as a surprise to many that was actually taught in depth. I mean, what did he teach about it? Can you give us any idea?
well, he taught that the human spirit starts out as a very small, tiny piece of true God, which he, in the Talmud Jmmanuel, Emmanuel calls God by the name creation, which we might change to creator, and that through many.
The Bible literally scolds people for worshiping the creation.
Yeah.
So I wonder, that must be a polemic then, that the New Testament writers were trying to crap all over the work of the great Talmud Jmmanuel.
Yeah. Which also,
Gotcha.
there was probably some stuff in the Old Testament about it too, but where they also took that out. Yeah. Those,
As they do, because apparently
Hebrew documents.
he's of the camp that these books somehow keep getting revised, and no one
Yes.
has copies of the original ones to know.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Every time
I'm no scholar of the Pentateuch, but I don't remember in any translation, reincarnation or karma
No, that's true.
being particularly prominent features
no.
in
It's.
the
I think that's
cosmology.
fair. I think that's
of
fair
the,
to say. But maybe in the originals it was
Abrahamic faith.
The redacted crap that we have now, Dave.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Oh,
Friend of the channel,
long time
Roger.
friend of the channel.
Okay, Paul and Shannon. Okay, Paul and Shannon need
your
wine
mom.
credenza, whatever the hell that is.
It's a credenza for wine. I don't understand what's so hard about this.
It's a cupboard or a shelf or it's a shelf with doors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not unlike a hutch, I guess. I don't know. Is that a thing?
A hutch?
Credenza. Yeah.
Many successive lives.
Yeah, and so this is better than the coffee table fund. I'm more excited about with the credenza fund than the coffee table fund. So
Yeah. It's a small town just outside of
human
Airdale.
spirit gradually becomes more and more knowledgeable. One can, of course, try to get in contact.
so they're
Paul is in
hutches.
the closet.
In general, they're hutches. The true
Yeah.
credenzas are only from the credenza area
To me, they're only made in the credenza region of Istanbul.
of Italy. Yeah,
Italy,
you have to be. Otherwise, they're just a hutch.
Credenza of Italy, yes. Yeah. Otherwise it's just a sideboard or hutch. It's a sparkling sideboard.
Exactly. Now you get it.
Now we got it.
Exactly. Meditation or listen to your conscience at the right time to interact with it, but otherwise each past life is forgotten subject in each new life.
Interesting, Jim, the reference to the creation as opposed to the creator. That one might, in effect, not, I don't know if worship is the right word, but follow or speak to or try to be one with the process itself of creation as opposed to the creator. Is that right?
I think so, and because creator sort of dreams up an image of something centralized at some point, that you call he or she or it, but it's more of a pantheistic view, I think, that the Talmud Jmmanuel has.
I see.
That God is everything.
I feel like that may also fly in the face of some established
Well,
Judeo-Christian doctrine.
I mean, so we got here the Romans 125. They exchanged the truth about God for a lie. They worshipped and served created things rather than the Creator.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you can't be worshiping the creation rather than the Creator in the New Testament thing. But of course,
Well, but I mean, they would put that in specifically
That's right.
to hide
all these things.
We have a super chat. Paul, I'll ask you this question. Perhaps you can answer it.
Mm-hmm.
Slack back. $5 super chat. We appreciate it so very much. Thank you. Paul, what the hell is a fire table?
Well, you see, Dave, a fire table is a table that has a essentially kind of like a barbecue.
If you say
burner.
fire in it, I swear to God.
No.
Come over there.
So there's a table, and on the top of it is essentially a barbecue style burner, right? And so it connects to a propane tank.
Okay.
And there's flames, and then in the area where the what would you call it, the burner is, you put stones or other decorative things that won't burn, so that it appears like you have a table with all this crushed gravel or
the hearts of the truly
fancy
pure.
Usually it's a fancier crushed rock,
right?
And flame comes out from it, and so it's kind of like you're warming yourself at a thing. That's what a fire table is. Is that have I painted a picture for everyone? Do I need to look it up and get a picture, an actual picture?
So you're saying Shannon crushed your rocks and set fire to them? That's what I heard.
That is not exactly what I said.
I feel like that's more or less what you said.
All right. Well, so these are them. These are the fire tables. Like they look kind of like this.
Oh man, that first one looks really nice. I mean, your fire table's cool. That's better.
Actually, this is Dave. Honestly, this is from Wayfair. This, I think, is our coffee table.
Your fire table?
Our fire table. I'm pretty sure, actually, this is our exact one. We don't have this, whatever is going on in the background, the sunsets and things.
Oh, there's a water tower.
Yeah, but
Ocean View, maybe it looks like.
This might even be. This is very similar, if not identical, to ours. So yeah, you get this.
Shannon can weigh in. Is that your fire table, Shannon?
Well, she's on the time delay because.
Yes, she's also taking issue with your description of crushed gravel.
Well, I may not be completely eloquent on all matters, but
she agrees.
Shannon
That's
is affirming that. So just by mere coincidence, that the first one to come up was the one.
It's pronounced coincidence, Paul.
All right, I want to get to these callers.
Everywhere.
Are we still doing
we
this?
We can't because it's trivia time.
Oh, it's trivia time. All right.
So
I was
I'm going to
just
read
fooling the last couple of guesses.
We'll see. That's right. Now you got to get serious.
Yeah.
Okay.
Why so serious?
Let me read the question, and then everyone can just answer your question. During his radio career, Art Bell received numerous awards for his contributions to broadcasting. How many times did he win the prestigious Marconi Award? How many times did Art Bell, in his career, win the Marconi Award? And I don't actually know if this was limited to his time at Coast to Coast. It's worded correctly. It's like how many times in his career, in his radio career. They may not
That's
all
fair
have
because
been.
he was, yeah.
They may not all have been with.
He was just a actual radio
Right.
host for many years.
All right. So we'll see what people laid in
Was
their
it-
guess.
Was it 0? Oh,
It was
4.
not.
Wow,
The correct
I
answer was
off.
4.
Well, there you go.
4 times Art won the Marconi Award, and we have
Really?
we have 2 people who got it exactly right. We have Slack.
I'm not.
Slackback
I'm not knocking it out of the park today.
and
I like it
Whitney
better when
Owen.
I write the trivia questions and don't have to look stupid because I
That's
get
right.
everything wrong.
Yeah. See. So well done, Whitney Owen and Slackback, and everyone else who came close on their guesses for the numbers. This is apparently the Marconi Award. This is what it looks like. Mm-hmm. What's that? What's that?
I'm
whimper
laughing
for?
at chat. Zictomorph. Yes. Like any of us have even heard of that. It's true. I've heard of my experience of Marconi is Godfather 3. That's how much I know about Marconi and what
Well,
the
it's
Marconi Award is.
it's apparently a radio show that he was eligible for. So that's how that
There you go.
goes.
Yeah.
All right, so we have 2 more trivia questions left. 2 more. So we will reset the trivia clock and get on.
You're
Hopefully,
saying
we
there's
get
a
to,
chance.
let's get to some callers.
The spiritual aspect of everything, intelligence behind the creation of everything.
Okay.
So, what else about reincarnation? I don't believe he taught any transmigration of the soul to animals after death, but just to other humans.
Just to other humans.
So that differs from the Hindu view that you might have come across.
What did it speak to? What did he speak to with regard to the nature of the soul again?
Ooh, the
Well,
soul.
nothing particularly definite except that it evolves through successive lifetimes and eventually,
No.
millions of lifetimes later, apparently will merge back again with the creation, and thereby the creation is always receiving new input from evolved souls all over the universe, in which it then evolves too, because it's continually receiving more and more knowledge and wisdom from all the evolved souls that merge with it.
All right. Well, that is as much heresy as we can fit into this hour, Jim.
He's tired of the heresy
relax
list.
for a few moments. We'll
Gets enough. Look, you're boring everybody with your heresy
Yeah.
list. That's what I got.
That's all the
Yeah.
heresies we have. Yeah.
We preferred when your heresy, your list was like lesbianism is okay. That was a good
Yeah.
heresy. But
was
these
good.
ones,
I have legitimately, Art seems just supremely bored. He's just
unfortunately.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Well, anyways.
Well, I'm assuming we're going to get angry Christian callers, so we'll hopefully get to that.
do some news here at the top of the hour and come back.
There's listed in the Gospel of Matthew that Jesus had.
Oh, that was a call break.
And
That was
then
an act
they
break.
traveled around quite a lot. Emmanuel gradually eating more and more. The farther, I guess, they got away from the Palestinian area, the more confident he could be that his identity wouldn't be found out.
Mm-hmm.
Traveling through Anatolia, which is the area of Turkey nowadays, and then back eventually towards India and Kashmir. So going across on the Silk Road, they call it, travel during those days. Takes about 2 years just to go one way from there to India. So then he lived out a very long life there in India.
And lived out his life.
Yeah.
I feel like the hockey game is done. I'm not hearing the
seems
hockey
like-
game anymore.
Which it must have been, because I mean, Art was on pretty late, even West Coast. So we
Right.
must have just been catching the
Yeah.
the end. Yeah.
Let me
But
ask
yes,
you,
it's
Jim,
good talk.
this. How large
Frankly, I'm a little
is
sad.
this document, the Talmud of Jmmanuel? How large
Now I'm
is
going to
it?
look up. Wait, one sec.
And did the Flames win that night?
Yeah, I want to know. Did my Flames? Anybody not in chat? Everybody
That's
knows
back
Paul
when they were-
Norris fan. I am a Flames fan.
Back when they were the Mighty Ducks, and when they had the nicest arena in the
Yeah.
back in '96. Let me tell you, that arena was the cat's meow. That was it was all marble. Well, it still is. It's all marble and had these
Yeah, there's a
giant
number of very
columns
nice arenas now. At the time,
Right at the time, this was
there was
like,
not like
the San
Hartford
Jose
was still
rink-
playing in a goddamn mall.
Right.
like literally in a mall, right? Like at
Do you
this
remember when
time.
San Jose came into the league? They were literally playing in an arena called the Cow Palace.
Yes, yeah.
Yep.
San Francisco, well, and it's like the Cow Palace still exists and has been
It
around
does,
forever.
of
It
course.
was a
Yeah, no,
famous,
but
yeah.
they don't play there anymore. But
It's
yeah,
old, yeah.
but
Yeah.
they're in the Shark Tank now. But yeah. Anyway, that's a tangent no one cares about.
4 or
Nope.
5 chapters longer than the Gospel of Matthew.
I see.
It doesn't take into account any of the teachings that he made in India and Kashmir and all over there.
He fit a lot of heresy into these 4 extra chapters. In these 4 extra chapters, he goes to India. He teaches karma. They've got what were some of the heresies?
Yeah, they're getting it. They're getting it.
Oh, and that instead of being tempted by the devil, he went to get space instructions for 40 days.
So that was the part that was lost. They just started out translating the first part and got as much of it done as they can, and suddenly this priest who was doing the translations after Meyer had left back for Switzerland and was mailing him sections of translations every so often. This priest was caught up, found out, had to flee for his life, and eventually assassinated.
So here's the pattern. We hit the pattern, Dave. Every single person who's ever like associated with this Art Bell show is always at some point on the run. I was busy translating these documents, and suddenly people were chasing me around. I needed to
Yeah. Let me tell you, because the truths are too truthy.
truthy.
In 1976.
All right, here's a question from somebody who sent in a fax, Jim. How does this document impact on the book of Revelation? Specifically, what does it suggest Revelation refers to? Can we expect a return of Jesus? If so, when? How would this occur, and what conditions will accompany his return? What is the purpose for his return? Full of questions, signed Brad.
Okay.
That's a very Brad, well done. Those are very pragmatic questions. It's like, I don't care about any of your history stuff. I need to know, because this is 1995, 4, whatever year it is. How is this going to impact when Jesus comes back any minute?
Any minute now, it's going to happen.
It doesn't really impact the Book of Revelations at all. The Book of Revelations is apparently the dream work of the writer of the Gospel of John, at least some scholars think so. And it's just not related to anything that Talmud Jmmanuel has to say. The Gospel of Matthew is much more closely related, and some of the parts of chapter 24 in Matthew that speak of the second coming are in the Talmud Jmmanuel. So it says he will be alive. That would be reincarnated in some human at the time of his second return. And that would be with this, blaze of light or something in the sky, which you can imagine could be UFOs, perhaps.
Of course, could be. Is there a prediction in this document of when that might occur?
Nothing exactly, but the time period of 2 millennia is mentioned in the future. So it's obviously our time, and of course, skeptics can have quite a lot of fun with that.
I have seen a number of documents. Most interestingly, are you familiar with something called the Pope's predictions?
No, unless they came from the Fatima incident.
No, not specific. It says in them that there will be visitors coming our way. These are supposedly predictions made by the Pope in the year 1995, and that there will be many visitors, some of whom will seem strange to us, but will revive the earth, in other words, ecologically and so forth and so on, from what they call or is called in the Pope's predictions, a burned cinder. So somewhere between now and the year 2000, would that be your best guess?
Well, roughly in then, but it's too indefinite. It could be another 10 years after that, for all I know. But according to the Talmud Jmmanuel, they're not going to come to revive the earth or anything. They're going to come to, I don't know what they're going to do, to try to deal with what's left after various catastrophes. The idea of catastrophism is in there.
The earth changes that many speak of?
The floods and all that, and perhaps even a man-made war that probably would have a nuclear weapon involved. There's a hint of that in there, without, of course, the word.
It was just a dash of nuclear war. We're
Just a little bit.
for seasoning, just to
know.
taste. Nuclear.
C'est bon.
So, yeah.
So I'm going down a rabbit hole right now, Paul.
What are you doing, Dave?
Those are wrong. So this, I believe the show aired originally November 13th, 1994, when the NHL was in a lockout. That was the lockout when they did the half season.
Okay.
The season didn't start until January of that year. So if that's true, so I don't know what the thing I was looking up before, because there were no NHL games on November 13th.
Were you on ChatGPT? Because that'll just make up data.
No, I don't even. I've never used ChatGPT in my
right.
life. I don't even know how to. I'm a horrible.
You're a Luddite, as we say.
Yeah, exactly. I break steam engines for fun. So now I don't know what's going on. If we were watching minor hockey, or if the date I had for this error was wrong. It's all
Well,
up
absolutely
in the air.
could have been. No, so
away.
you're absolutely. So let's say hypothetically, because
Yeah.
I used to listen to this show in Saskatchewan, and I commuted from Regina to Saskatoon during this era. When this show was airing, I would have been commuting. And the skies are big out there in the prairies, and you can get AM signals very, very far. Yeah, it could have been a Regina Pats.
Could have been AHL. Could have been
game. Yeah, it could have been. You're right.
Yeah,
it could have been.
There's a number of minor or American, like I said, senior hockey or something.
Well, what kind of weird thing were you looking at that November? That you
I
had a
saw.
schedule?
I found a thing where it's like listed November 13th, 1994, but I mean that's just some internet page I found. In journalistic integrity. And I feel we're doing a disservice to our sponsors this week. I found out that what I said couldn't possibly have been correct because the NHL was not playing at that time. So
Interesting.
So
okay.
Nobody in chat gives two shits about what we're talking about right
That's
now.
right. So let's carry on because we got to get to the callers because I want angry Christians.
You want angry Christians
confronting him about his
or anything being there.
Although the person who sent it, the first person who got in with his facts, he just had sober questions. Like, alien. How does this affect whether I can buy or sell things?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you have to say.
Obviously, all of this then, I guess, puts you right in line with listening to and studying what a lot of abductees have to say.
Sure. So I've been trying to keep up on that, of course, over the years, too.
Well, I hope this program has helped you in that.
Let me throw a monkey in your wrench there, Dave.
Okay, yeah.
Here's the other thing that happens is that, so I think we mentioned at the top of the show, there was 2840. Art did 2840 shows.
Yes. Yeah.
Over his 20 years, which roughly, I did the math, it was roughly 165 shows a year that he did.
Yeah.
But yet
for years he did way more and years he did less. Yes.
Right. But also they would just rerun shows and not even, sometimes they would tell you that they would be a little voiceover like, oh, this isn't live, so don't actually call in.
Yeah.
In the commercial break. So the person who recorded this may have been recording it on a different date. Is all I was going to try to say.
Because Coast to Coast aired 7 days a week, and Art did not work 7 days a week.
Right. So as we say,
and later on they got weekend hosts and stuff in, but at the start they didn't. They just would replay.
Wait, am I doing that right? So he did 2840 shows.
Timothy Harmon gets it. Yeah.
Yeah, he gets it. All right.
Yeah, I love hockey. It's fun.
Yes, although we could get a station closer to Corvallis, Oregon.
That right there, Paul. That's how I like my beer.
That's a stout.
Workers Midnight. Good stout. This is Big Axe Brewery Shakespeare oatmeal stout. I don't know where Big Axe Brewery is based out of. Out of Nakawik, New Brunswick.
Ooh, that's near me.
Yeah, kinda.
Yeah. It's like a 3-hour drive away from me.
Yeah. Well, if you're ever at 537 Otis Drive, Nakawik,
okay,
then stop in and see Big Axe Brewery.
Well,
tell them Dave sent you.
Fair enough. I tell you what, Dave. If we get to this is me, I don't know if this is incentive for you or not. If we get to callers, I will have a tequila shot because I want to get to callers.
Well, I mean, we're going to make that happen.
Jim, are you convinced? You are pretty well convinced that this document is accurate. I'm wondering how this has affected, if it has affected, your personal faith, whatever it was.
Well, maybe this would be the appropriate part to try to set forth an example of why I think this isn't anything that could be a hoax by looking at a particular verse and comparing it with the Gospel of Matthew.
It would be, yes. Go right ahead.
Okay, it's the minor things, I think, that point to me the most.
We've been talking for an hour. Should I bring out interesting things yet?
Anyone could read up on major things and try to write a nice, flowing, coherent story that follows the Gospel of Matthew in its main outline and has all these heresies in it, although I wouldn't be able to do so myself because it all flows too interestingly and smoothly. But looking at some minor points, there's one spot in Gospel of Matthew, chapter 13, verse 53, where it speaks about Jesus having come into his own country and taught in their synagogue, but there he was rejected. You remember the rejection story?
Yes,
I remember that. Yes,
without a country.
I don't feel like it happened exactly. I'm going to let it. We're just
He's
gonna let it ride.
putting it. He's giving it a very heavy. I feel like he's. What's the word I'm looking for? He's conflating different things.
He's
where it talks
right.
about, like, say, for example, the Gospel of John at the start, where it's like he came to his own people, but he was rejected by his own
I think
people.
those were sayings that were like, but I don't think there was actually a story about them. I don't think there was
I
a
don't.
narrative.
You're right. I do not remember a specific story where he's like, "Well, I went into Jerusalem."
Right, exactly. And they said, "Hey, you're a dummy, and you're just from." Actually, well, yeah. Actually, there is, like, to be fair, there is the story of people saying, "Is he not a Nazarene? Like, don't we know that?
Yeah.
Don't we know his mother and brothers?" So
there's plenty of stories of people like rejecting.
So if that's
or going, but there isn't like the
right.
But once you get outside, it's like, oh shit, this guy, he's got going on.
Yeah. All right, we'll see what he says.
Without honor,
right,
in his own country. Well, it's always been a little bit strange to some scholars why it just mentions that he went to his own country and taught. In the Talmud Jmmanuel, it says he went to Nazareth and taught, and this is what every scholar has inferred must have been meant there, because they know that's where he is said to have grown up, his own hometown. So, just a few verses past there's another spot beginning in chapter 14 in Matthew, where it mentions that at that time Herod the Tetrarch heard about the fame of Jesus and then proceed on with the story of the beheading of John the Baptist. When the Talmud Jmmanuel, it's a little bit different, saying that at the time that Emmanuel dwelled in Nazareth, this is when that happened. At the time he visited Nazareth. And by leaving that one word Nazareth out there in Gospel of Matthew, it's always been a puzzle to Gospel scholars whether this whole episode is a flashback or not, because it says it occurred at that
word's
time,
not in there.
but there wouldn't have been time for this to have occurred if you go over the chronology of the story and the way it's situated there. And in retrospect now, with the Talmud Jmmanuel explanation here, we can see that, or surmise that the word Nazareth was taken out by the man, the scribe who compiled the Gospel of Matthew.
Oh, it's not in there because they took it out. I gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
So the word Nazareth is supposed to be in either the story of the feeding of the 5,000 or of John the Baptist. I don't know where Nazareth is supposed to fit, but okay.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. The whole point is it's lousy with Nazareth. There's Nazareth all over the place, but you're not going to get to know about it.
That was to punish Nazareth for not having believed in Jesus' work.
All right, trivia time.
Trivia time.
Okay. Art Bell often discussed the mysterious Area 51 on his radio show. How many miles away is Area 51 from Las Vegas, where Art Bell broadcasted? So how many miles from Las Vegas to Area 51? for some reason, there's always seems to be somebody who guesses 69, no matter what the question is.
Somebody's sexy.
All right, so we're down to 5. Get your answers in. Just a few more seconds. We're doing some tallying. Get those answers in.
I think I actually know the answer to this.
Oh, did you Google it or you just know?
What? I don't even know what Google is. What? Who can say what got what?
Oh, Dave got within one. Well done, Dave. Well done, Dave. All right, so
I'm super smart. I know all kinds of facts.
So I don't, so hopefully, I guess when we'll do a little bit of a post-mortem when the show is done, what you think of how well I've never written the trivia questions before. It's always been you.
Yeah, I think you're doing a pretty bang up job. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, we'll see how it goes. But
we're just gonna send you a screen grab of what's on my computer right now, real quick.
Yeah.
Feel free to share it out the chat or not, whatever.
Whatever.
You might have a little bit too long of a trivia timer in this number game. That's all I'm saying.
Fair enough. All right. Back to Art.
There that he did. Not having the faith and not.
I'm not buying you a mug if you win.
So his mighty works there. And so this was quite a serious thing to the early church to have an instance when Jesus couldn't perform his healings and miracles. And so to punish Nazareth for doing that to him, when he came to this part of the story, he just left out the word Nazareth and just replaced it in one instance, saying it was in his own country. So this is a very minor thing. Most scholars haven't even known about it when it was first.
I love how he's just, because Art's got to be bananas. It's like, why do you keep telling me the minor things? Like, can we talk about him being an alien as opposed to like the conspiracy to cover up the word Nazareth in chapter 14?
You can clearly see that the translation here is, it's like, oh my God, you're killing me. Talk about Jesus being an alien. This is the Stargate. This is the Stargate debacle all over again.
Yeah.
Noted, as far as I can tell, it was by a scholar in 1989, long after the Talmud Jmmanuel had come out, and so it's nothing that a hoaxer could have thought up by himself unless he was really a clever, original scholar himself.
Are there, Jim, a lot of examples like that?
I can't remember the other time this week. Someone where it was like, well, no, because this can't be a hoax because that would mean someone is clever. And it's like, no, cleverness. There are lots of people who are clever.
Yeah. I mean, none in this,
not on this,
not on show right now,
not on screen right now.
No. But certainly in chat.
It's in chat. For example, Timothy Harmon.
Yeah. We don't need to wait until the end to decide who does the trivia questions best. I don't know if I should feel threatened by that or affirmed.
That's be a shame if something happened to this place.
A real shame. Yeah, that's some real nice trivia you got going there.
A nice little show here going.
Yeah, we don't have to wait around to see who's gonna do the best questions, huh? Mm-hmm. For a toast to toast mug, we could make sure that your questions are open.
I picked out about 35 that I put in that category.
That's quite a few.
Yeah, and I found about another 170 that I thought are all in the favor of the Talmud Jmmanuel being genuine rather than the Gospel of Matthew.
Now, when you did your research, Jim, were you... there are various ways of setting out to prove something one way or the other, and I'm wondering whether you were sort of trying to prove that the Talmud of Jmmanuel was authentic and picked out each example that would give credence to that argument, or were you objective rather, as you did it, picking out things on both sides and in fact compiling a...
Paul, when you compiled your academic paper, were you biased or objective?
I was completely subjective, Dave.
I see. Yes.
Mhm.
Well, I mean, there you have it, folks. It's from his words.
Yes, it's a it's a lovely false dichotomy we got going there.
Positive,
I
negative
don't.
list.
How can it be false? He just said it straight up. I feel like you don't know what that means.
I clearly I don't.
Yeah, you keep using that word.
No,
I
I
do
was
not think it
mostly on the
means what you think
positive
it means.
side because you have to be fully interested in it and pretty well convinced in advance that it couldn't be a hoax before you'd want to retire early from a successful career and then spend years looking into this.
That certainly would be true, yes.
Yeah,
Yes,
so-
absolutely. Devoting the rest of your life to it, in effect.
That's the way it worked, although I keep trying to look at the other side of the argument as I go along here, and it just indicates that over and over scholars have taken the wrong route, especially where...
Paul, explain
whenever-
explain
in
to the
case
audience
where
what
there's
you've
something
thrown up on
embarrassing to
screen
the
now.
church, they take the solution that
Well,
was,
hold on.
at least
So this is someone in one of my communication applications here said, "Hey, this is what was on my screen recently."
Recently, somebody maybe quickly typed in distance from Las Vegas to Area 51 in miles into Google. And,
All right, so apparently
thought-
me as a trivia question learner, I will have to. We want to, I need to perhaps make them less Googleable. We'll see how that goes.
satisfactory as possible that they could get.
I
couple with
absolutely
number
do
answers.
not put it
Got it.
beyond...
Well, so some of those were a little. I don't. No one else was
Well-
complaining about having the Marconi Awards. So
No, I'll be honest with you. I tried to cheat on that when I couldn't find the answer fast enough, so I had to guess and I got it wrong.
that's the point.
It
And the total number of shows, I liked that answer, that question as well. That was
was you had I absolutely you've been knocking it out of the park. You've been
all
doing
right. Well,
bang up
appreciate.
questions. These are good ones.
You're just trying to do less work in the future. That's what I hear.
No, you're really good.
mankind to
This is what I'll tell you,
notice,
Paul. The first one's easy. When you got to do 5 or 6 of these, we'll see how fucking clever you are with your Art Bell number trivia. Yeah.
Well, they won't all be Art Bell themed in the future.
See, I like molasses flavored rum, Shannon. Though. That is my right in there. Get in there. Dark
history.
molasses, vanilla. Yeah.
Mm.
Anyways,
Did I miss a super chat?
you did.
Oh, no, that was
what we did before.
We got Timothy. We got Timothy's. Yep.
You can read it again if you want.
Well, the question is why in all this
I
rambling
guess
has
not, because I want you to drink tequila.
has there not been more super chats?
Is full of examples of mankind doing this sort of thing, and so it could easily be. Jim, I would like to begin to take some calls from the audience and questions. And so
right.
let us do that in just one moment. Professor Emeritus Jim Deardorff, who
Emeritus.
has been studying and would be glad to talk to you about a document called the Talmud of Jmmanuel. And we'll be back with him in just a moment. Give us the phone numbers. That'd be a good idea, huh? If you are a first-time caller to the program, the number is area code 702-727-1222. 702-727-1222.
This is a pre-recorded, previously broadcast program.
Wildcard direct dial lines.
Well, there we go.
That's literally what
Okay.
I was talking about.
So,
Okay.
yeah. So we don't know what date this actually was. So, it's
we
essentially
can't
impossible.
narrow down.
to,
That's right. We don't know. We can't
Yeah.
use the date to tell what NHL game was.
It was a
except
good
that it was-
idea,
Mhm.
and it led us down an interesting rabbit hole about the lockout, and that was a crazy
Right.
season. Yeah.
But that was exactly the voiceover. Yeah, we used to hear all the time when when I used to listen to the show live. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was some nights you just couldn't call in because it was a repeat. They used to do a thing called repeats, Dave, and they don't do that anymore.
On coast to coast, no.
Well, or like on television, they used to have things like repeats.
I feel like they still do a lot
Oh,
on.
they probably
actual
do on TV.
television.
But it
Do
was
you
a thing.
even have? Do you have any kind of like cable or any like actual
No.
television? No.
No,
I
so we
haven't
can
for years and
stream.
years.
Some of my Amazon things let me stream like local, like I can get local news and like
Yeah.
local whatever.
Yeah.
But not like I don't have
Cable. You
cable.
don't- yeah.
No. All right,
Is
so
broadcast TV still a thing? Can you still pull up rabbit ears and watch?
So
TV?
yes, you can. Well, I don't know if in Canada, maybe in Canada you can't, but in the states, in certain states, it's actually in like legislature that like it has to happen, and like there's
Right.
some arcane laws that need to come off the books so that some of these stations can actually stop.
And no
Literally.
lawmaker cares enough to take
Right,
these off the
and
books
but they're literally.
now.
I know there's some stations. I know if CNN, for example, is affected. Like they were literally broadcasting with a radius of like a mile,
Like they have to have broadcast somewhere.
just because you live technically by whatever obscure law that we got going. Yeah.
Yeah. Ah, there you go.
Anyway, we're once we finally get a caller, I have some tequila ready.
I feel
this
like
is-
I need to up my game. Should I grab a shot of something?
I don't know. It's up to you. But this is my birthday tequila that someone got for me.
Nobody who loves you.
It's a silver tequila, and it's a little harsh. So this is going to be a little bit of a sacrifice. Once
Do you have
this
lime?
happens.
Do you have salt?
I haven't been to the store in a few days. I need to put lime on the list. Shannon put lime on the list on the grocery list because yeah, I should have limes.
I feel like we should do like real tequila shots sometime with like the salt, the lime, the whole
That's my
The
favorite
whole-
way to do it. But yeah,
whole
that's
kit
not
and
what's happening.
caboodle.
All right,
Which-
can we let's get to callers. We got angry Christians on the line.
Our area code 702-727-1295. 702-727-1295. And toll free wherever you are, it's 1-800-618-8255. 1-800-618-8255. Jim, are you there?
Yes.
All right, let's go to the lines and see what awaits.
I was wondering, since you're giving out telephone numbers, should I give out one for celestial teachings?
We absolutely will get to it, Jim.
Okay.
So stand.
Should I give up my? What is he? I'm going to take my own calls at my house. I don't think he knows.
Who was the guy? It was. Remember, it was a last minute show, and I can't remember what the theme of it was. Where he's like, "Hey, call this number, and I'll give you a free book."
Oh right, and he was like, "Do you really? Are you going to give out free books?" Because
people are.
he was going to give out a free book to everyone who called.
Yeah, everyone called, right? Because it was like his book wasn't.
Do you know how many people listen to my show?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, it's fine. This is what I want. And Art's like, I really don't think you understand how many people are listening to this show right now. He's like, no, it's cool. Okay, well, go nuts.
Well, so for
Have
example,
fun having 40 million people call in.
So he was on 600 plus stations at his peak. Let's say
it was millions. He had an audience of millions and millions.
Yeah, he had millions of people watching. So
Yeah.
each station, let's say he had 100,000 listeners.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's just a lot of books you're gonna give away.
Yeah. And a segment of the population that would skew if you like threw, average AM radio and say 3:00 in the afternoon and be like, call this number for a free book. I feel like the percentage of people who would do it is much higher in the
That's right.
the 1 to 2 a.m. listening to your
Exactly.
Bigfoot alien show. It's like, okay.
My life is such that I'm listening to AM radio at 2 in the morning.
You get a much higher percentage
Yeah.
of people trying to cash in on this deal. And it was like his house. It was like his home number that he was giving away. And Art's like, this is a bad idea. You shouldn't do this.
We are 1 year away from Netscape. Netscape doesn't exist yet. So
yeah.
Are we ready for calls, Dave?
Oh. Yes, we're ready.
On our
Good.
toll-free line, you're on the air with Jim Deardorff. Hi.
Hello.
Hello.
Oh, this is Emily calling.
Hi, Emily.
Hi,
I've
Emily.
been listening to some of the comments made by Jim
Emily called.
Deardorff.
Yes,
I need to mention or preface that I am a parapsychologist, a ufologist, and a contact team.
Damn it.
And
She's a parapsychologist and a ufologist.
Like
This
Peter
is-
Venkman, she has
this
degrees
is-
in parapsychology and psychology.
This is not an angry Christian at all. This is
No.
this is basically
So
Peter
is she,
Venkman
you
from
think,
the
okay,
Ghostbusters.
Paul, prediction time. Is she going to be pro Deardorff or anti Deardorff?
she's gonna be. I think she's gonna be completely affirming. She's called in to assure Art that this is on the up and up. That's what
See,
I think.
I think she's going to call and be like, I have problems with his ufology methodology. And this
so
is
with
why.
her parapsychology and ufology, this is going to conflict. Okay, so all right, we got ourselves a little wager, but I feel like
Rain cramps making it rain. Look at that.
I'm gonna take my but we've had now our first caller, so this is my tequila shot. This is
Do
gonna be
it,
a little
Paul.
bit painful.
Paul, I'm going to follow you up. Cheers to you, buddy.
Oh.
Good job, buddy.
Whew. All right.
What we got next?
I do need to say that his research, in my estimation, is not foreign to me. I really accept the fact that Jesus is an alien. In fact, I would go so far as to say that
in her research, Dave, Jesus absolutely is an alien.
Yeah.
And I win this round.
Mother Mary may have been a abductee who may have been implanted with.
May have.
Mary was Jim should have thought of this on his own. Absolutely, Mary was abducted to get impregnated. This makes sense.
She was absolutely impregnated. I'd like to point out that I am drinking beer that has beer has actual bourbon then added to the beer.
Wow.
And it actually is kind of a mediocre taste, but it's got a pretty good kick to it. So,
Also, the can is orange, at least as far as I can tell, and that's one of your favorites. So,
I mean, it absolutely drew me. I have a unhealthy obsession with the color orange.
Listen, even abductees have to turn their radios off when they get on the air. So.
Okay, hold on.
Yes, thank you. Everybody, you need to do that when you get on the air. Turn your radio all the way off.
Art's got no time for the people. Look, I don't care how much of an expert you are in ufology. Turn your
Turn your radio
off when you call in my show.
Turn your freaking radio off when you call in. Yeah.
You will find it confusing, and you will, in fact, sound confused. So hopefully this lady has done it.
All right. I'm sorry. Yes, so that is not foreign to me, although he probably will get a lot of challenges from the religious.
Very angry calls, I would expect. Yes.
That's what I'm hoping for. I'm here for angry calls now.
And I do believe in whatever findings he seems to be coming up with right now. And thank you for allowing me to come through.
All right. Thank you for coming through.
Thank you, Emily.
So there you go, Jim.
Emily.
Support.
Yeah, so I think it's an appropriate idea that Mary must have been an abductee of some sort, and even Joseph must have been contacted by...
Dr. Deardorff, this person thinks you're completely right. Your thoughts? Well, I agree.
I agree that I'm very right. I'm clearly very right about all this. And yes, thank you for the affirmation.
I see.
Well, who was involved here because of the passages in Matthew which say he was contacted in a dream by an angel, where you can see how easily a real event there would have been altered into a dream to make it sanctionable for the early church.
All right, Jim, let me ask you this.
You can see how easily, Dave, that alien abduction when Angel Gabriel came and took Mary.
Yes.
We just said that was a vision, an angel. Yeah, I hear you, people. I know it's trivia time.
Oh, it's trivia time. Also, I'd like to point out, long-time friend of the channel, Vishanti, has thrown out. Yes, I will. I don't have the ingredients to mix a michelada right now, but next show I will make one because I do very much enjoy that. We'll make it happen. I got you back, Vishanti. All right.
All right. So the next question here.
Is this the second last question?
This is the last question.
The last question.
It's
this is my
penultimate, Dave. This is the ultimate question.
This is where I can cheat my way to victory.
This is where we. So you probably can. In what year did Art Bell establish the radio program Dreamland, focusing on topics such as alternate science and conspiracy theories?
I actually think I know the answer to this one without having to cheat.
So, what year? So the answer will be a year. What year? So, and this is the reason this is relevant. Technically, we are listening tonight to an episode of Dreamland.
We
and
are
not
listening to Dreamland,
Coast to Coast.
And we have a couple of times. Yeah.
They're essentially the same show. I don't quite understand why he established.
Oh, there was a whole bunch of drama.
Oh, was it?
Yeah. We will get into it here, but like the Art Bell's Coast to Coast run is basically a long it's like teenagers with Tumblr,
Right. Okay.
some kind of streamer.
But he was doing both shows at the same time for a while, at least.
Yes, but when he started Dreamland, he was not doing Coast to Coast.
Oh, okay. All right. Well,
he was off Coast to Coast, and yeah.
All right. So the correct answer is 1993 was when he started doing Dreamland. And apparently we had some Googlers. Oh, but no, maybe not, because no one got it exactly right. But we have Left-Handed Jedi and Whitney Owen, sorry. Pardon me. Cuddly Unicorn came in close.
This is it.
So now, apparently, I'm hoping that if all the scripts worked well, if everything worked, no,
I'm very sorry. I totally got it wrong. No, it wasn't Dreamland that was it was Midnight in the Desert.
Midnight in the Desert was a different show.
That was the show he started after he
exactly. We've done a few Midnight in the Desert, or we've done at least one Midnight in the Desert as well.
Oh, Al Trucker, I love me some Space Ghost Coast to Coast. You throw that
anyway. So now we are going to hopefully get the leaderboard if this script worked the way it was supposed to.
Okay.
So Luminous gets Sewell. Well done.
Yes.
You are the winner. Shannon Q came in third.
In the top three. Look at that.
Super Freak 1000.
I assume Paul just gave you all the answers beforehand because I'm a conspiracy theorist.
That's right. So Luminous. So you need to
super freaky.
Either send an email to paul@paulogia.com or leave a comment once we're done, once the show is over, you can leave a comment and we can connect with you that way. And we will make sure that you will get your very own Toast to Toast mug, like other previous winners have. I feel like
look at the sediment that's settled in the bottom of this cup. What?
Oh my goodness!
What's up with this? Anyways, pay no attention to whatever's going on here.
That's not the Tumbler's fault.
This is the part.
That is not a feature of the Tumbler. Dave has
what a stylish glass.
Refrigeration issue going on in his place.
Yeah. This was in a fucking beer can. What the hell? Someone was right. It looks like
all right. So
maggot.
And everyone else, I would love to know. You can leave a comment later. So whether you thought that this type of trivia was enjoyable. I don't know if this is more or less enjoyable than the A, B, C, D multiple choice options.
I actually think there's probably lactose in this particular beer, and somebody else. People are commenting in chat. I gotta look at it and see.
Okay. It is not the Tumbler's fault. That's what I will say.
No, it is. We can all agree it's not the Tumbler's fault. It's probably Paul's. Probably cursed me with his witchcraft, and my beer has gone sour as a result.
Dave, do you remember the?
Fuck you, you witch.
Roughly around 1990. We're speaking of 1994, Dave. Do you remember Demolition Man starring Arnold Schwarzenegger?
Oh, Demolition Man's amazing. It's a national treasure.
I believe that was right around that year.
If I remember correctly. Sandra Bullock. Yes, absolutely.
So I just heard myself saying, "Look at all these I was like, hey, talk to all the previous winners who have won and and I just got a flashback of the.
You're not thinking of Demolition Man. You're thinking of Running Man. I think with Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Oh no, I'm thinking of Running Man. I am.
Sorry.
Yes,
there we go. Which is also a movie that's amazing. Yeah.
Running Man, where the allegedly all the people are winning their freedom.
Yes. The previous winners of the show,
and they would constantly show, "Hey, look at all these previous winners who won their freedom, and then they're enjoying fappy things." And then later we find out that they were all just dead,
and they're all burnt skeletons that they show. Yes,
that's right.
Yeah. Who loves who, and who do you love? Killian.
That's a great. I'm gonna
watch
that movie sometime.
Based on a short story by Stephen King when he was writing under his pen name Richard Bachman, called The Running Man.
Right.
Very good
so not
story.
a Philip K. Dick story, but it was a Stephen King story,
No,
right?
and it's about a guy. So it's the same premise. It's a game show that anyone can sign up, and it's a lot of class stuff in it. You get $1 billion if you can go a month. There are professional hunters chasing you.
Mm-hmm.
You can go anywhere in the world. It's not in an arena like in the Running Man. And every day you have to mail in a videotape of yourself, so they can kind of track you through the mail.
Right.
But you can go anywhere, do anything, and people are like trying to find you and kill you. And if you can go the whole month, you win $1 billion.
Oh, okay. And that's when they imagined that the best thing you could do, of course, was send in a videotape as opposed to like live stream or send a video.
Yeah, exactly right. This is all and it gets into a whole bunch of class stuff and things. It's a very interesting story and read it, but the movie is fucking phenomenal.
It actually sounds
best.
Now that you describe it, it sounds a little bit like Hunger Games, but
it's much more Hunger Gamesy, gritty. It's a very realistic noir. It's not like the Running Man movie at all, even remotely.
No, the Running Man movie
is
is very disjointed from the. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, I will
on a 80s
Shannon
pop
started the show by being sad that I did an Arnold Schwarzenegger impression on my last live show, so I will refrain from doing any Arnold Schwarzenegger impressions today.
Paul doing Arnold Schwarzenegger impression.
We'll see what the callers. I'm looking for some callers to inspire me. We'll see what happens.
Show me your leadership potential.
Follow up on motivation or what their intentions are. What have you been able to deduce with regard to their intentions toward us?
Well, in terms of planning Emmanuel's life and his mission, it seems to have been the idea that Earthlings at that time were beginning to be far enough along that we should have some of the right ideas given to us, preferably from one of our own, so that we can...
Earthlings at the time, like... Jim is not an Earthling. Jim's like dismissive of, the silly Earthlings of the time.
At the time. Should have.
About in our brains and discuss them as well as all the false ideas that lead to false religions that were around at the same time, too. They don't seem to want to force their views upon us. Maybe that's impossible anyhow.
Well, what are we to them?
We seem to be related to them. That's why they're just genetically, so to say, so much the same. And in Edward Meyer's contact notes, there's long stories of the history of Earth that involve the Pleiadians earlier, where the Pleiadians are said to have not acted too honorably in various instances many thousands of years in the past, and they therefore feel some obligation back a couple thousand years ago as well as now to see if there's certain little things they could do to implant the right.
If we were to discover that there was alien species, and that the alien species were close enough genetically to us that there could be breeding was possible,
as documented in the documentary Prometheus. But carry on.
I would immediately. I think I would immediately accept that.
Fucking alien.
That there was a creator. That there was a creator entity of some sort, because as opposed to us being like evolved.
I see. So you're saying if the aliens hadn't previously come to Earth, that we weren't genetically related to them because of alien meddling,
right?
It could be so if the aliens were like, we just happen to, we head out into the stars and we meet aliens who've headed out into the stars, and genetically we're compatible,
right?
That we've now met at a random thing, and it'd be like that's evidence. We're like, okay, well, obviously, it's kind of like
it doesn't need to be a god, but it's at very least panspermia, right? That it's at very least, it's like no, because the chances that if evolution is running its course,
yes,
that genetically that. Because like zebras and horses can't produce fertile offspring, right?
So if two intelligent species on two completely different planets meet and are intelligent and are genetically compatible
enough to create fertile offspring, then it's like no, then
we're talking about quadrillions, quintillions to 1 odds,
right? That's not chance anymore. That is
that is.
It doesn't need to be divine, as like it could be, as you said. It's the engineer.
There is some kind of
the engineer in Prometheus.
what's the saying? The clockmaker. You know,
the watchmaker, the
watchmaker, right? Like that if there must be some watchmaker to the universe.
Right.
Like if everything is so perfectly ordered,
yeah.
that you would count that as that kind of thing where it's like,
Yeah, I would immediately be on board. Like if
Yeah.
if aliens
Yeah.
come and visit us from light years away and we can make babies, then something is going on.
something's going on somewhere, somehow somebody has got their hand involved
Yeah.
in this, because the chances of this happening randomly are so astronomically small.
Exactly.
So you have it all. It's on the internet now, folks. So
That's
you'll
right.
know.
That is a thing that would convince me.
Paul's,
yeah, absolutely.
there's some kind of intelligent design, whether it's divine or
right, exactly. Yeah.
other, the Star Trekky kind of episode, thing. Of
I
like
hated that episode. I did not like that episode.
There's like 4 episodes. Yeah.
You know the one where the Klingons and the Romulans and
All of them where they're having their big, and it turns out
they all had to say. Although to be fair,
is Shannon still in chat? Does she have thoughts on that? She's more of a Star Trek fan.
to be fair, one thing that was good about that episode was it at least acknowledged the elephant in the room about evolution. Like, why would on planet?
Why do all of these
Klingon-
aliens look like people in cheap makeup?
right?
Yeah.
How possibly did apes evolve on all these planets? So yeah, it makes sense. Just me. Yes, my dog. I can see my doggie right now. I'm looking at my doggie. So yeah.
Hello,
there
Bella.
She is. She's sleeping.
I'm glad you're over there and not here.
She's not on camera. I am actually working. So speaking of complicating the stream more than is needed, one of my thoughts is to possibly have a Bella cam in the future so that I can have a.
Oh God. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
I know that so much of your audience and so much of the internet loves your dog and pets in general.
Mm-hmm.
I have a complicated relationship with Paul's dog. We do not see eye to eye. I would not say I feel unbridled love towards that particular canine.
Is this at least in part because you are allergic to canines?
It's part of it. It's part of it. I'm not a beagle fan. I'm just straight up. I don't like beagles. They're so much. I like a much more laid back dog.
It's true. Yes,
I've
beagles are
owned
not
several
a
dogs.
laid back dog.
I
no.
do love dogs. I don't like Paul's dog. So it's like I've played with Paul's dog. I like her well enough, right?
And you don't intrinsically on her own. If she was someone else's,
I would not want to own Bella. If I did own Bella, I wouldn't own Bella for very long. It's not like I'd take her out back and shoot her, but it would be somebody else's.
That's right.
Dog.
It would be like, move on.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Ideas in people's heads so that we can at least discuss them and try to push good ideas along with the bad.
So these, let me pick up on that. These aliens are not necessarily that honorable. Is that correct?
In the past, right. As you probably know, many of them stayed here for long-term visits back many, many thousands of years ago and became known as gods and goddesses, and started...
Yes.
Sorry, I'm laughing at chat, but also I'm just like blah 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 whatever. I want to get into the angry Christian colors.
I want angry Christian colors.
Where's my Southern Baptist? Yeah,
exactly right. This first person who's literally like a ufologist, that's not gonna get the sparks going.
Mythologies all over the earth.
And again, you would think the subjects of those myths, insofar as there may be some truth based in them, were aliens.
Sure, you maybe read some of Zechariah Sitchin's work on that.
Oh, yes.
And,
Art's just desperate to make any alien connection at all. Were those aliens? How about them? Were they
aliens?
aliens? Who was aliens here?
It seemed that those aliens that allowed themselves to become worshipped as gods and goddesses, maybe some of them couldn't prevent it, but others
encouraged
known better. And
so, in effect, took advantage of the poor, savage human being and allowed us to worship, knowingly building that myth.
Yes, and at times helping to get religion.
Take advantage of these poor humans, like Mary.
That's right. Don't be making boink signals.
There was boinkification going on. It's academically proven.
The YouTube algorithm can see your boinky symbols and finger gestures.
Yeah, we're 3 hours into the stream now. It's fine. YouTube doesn't care anymore.
They just stopped
Nobody
tracking
cares
at
what we're
some
doing
point.
at this
That's
point.
not true because last stream, as you know, Dave, I mean, maybe you don't recall.
I do. We called down the thunder on that one. That's on us.
That was
Yeah.
where I, against my better judgment,
If I remember
decided-
correctly, as it was happening live, we were both like, "This is gonna get us."
yeah, and we were right.
Yeah, we were right. We played copyrighted music on the stream.
No,
We
it wasn't.
Googled
But here's the thing: it wasn't
it.
copyrighted music. It was like someone doing a parody version of like, was it Oh Susanna? Like what? No, it was.
No, I can't remember what it was, but we found some music on YouTube. We played the music on YouTube.
There was Art Bell. It was an Art Bell homage song.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was clearly it wasn't a Willie Nelson song, but something like that.
But
yeah, and it stung us. So so thank you so much for falsehoods.
Thank you so much for the super chat. Yeah.
And for super chats and for the sponsor today's show's falsehoods.
Yeah, falsehoods. Because Paul and I keep finding ways to demonetize.
That's right. So we lost our monies. We lost our monies from last time's advertisement show. Anyway,
Luckily, Paul and I both have. This really isn't how either of us make our living on Toast to Toast. So, yeah.
Went very far
Hey.
astray.
Gee, what scoundrels? With calls on the toll-free line. You're on the air with
Today,
Jim
girls are
Deardorff. Hi.
easy. Do you remember that movie, Earth Girls Are Easy? Anyways.
I remember.
Yeah. Okay, I need to take a bio break. You
Okay.
listen to Angry
All right.
Caller.
I'm gonna
gonna
keep
miss
going.
Hi, Art.
Hello.
This is the anarchist here in San Diego.
Yes.
May I ask your guest, does he believe that what he calls human beings can be born without a soul?
All right.
No,
soul.
I don't, although it's
Soul questions. This is. I hope Shannon. I'm not sure if she's awake still or not, but soul questions.
uncertain to me what time of gestation, at what time in gestation the soul or spirit typically enters the baby's body, whether it's a few weeks after birth, which is what Edward Meyer was told, or whether it could be as late as birth. I don't know.
A few weeks after birth.
No, a few weeks after conception. I mean.
Oh, after conception.
Yes.
All right. Or as the baby is actually born into the world. Of course, it is a very important question, Jim, because of the modern controversy with regard to abortion.
That's right.
That's funny. So 90. I make jokes earlier that 94 was, 10 years ago. It's really not. Obviously, it's almost 30 years ago, and they were still having still the same kind of shit going on. There's still the same fight about abortion, and still the fight about whether abortion has anything at all to do with when human life starts, and it doesn't. It just straight up doesn't. Abortion has entirely to do with bodily autonomy. No one is denying that genetically that the fetus is, human in terms of whatever we would call genetically human. No, it's all about bodily autonomy. Go check Shannon's channel for all kinds of great arguments on this. Dave and I are not the people to talk about abortion. Dave, we're talking about abortion all of a sudden. Just less.
I'll talk about it because I have no.
You are a male, and you and I. No, that's not bad. That was just me trying to be facetious.
Mean. I have no strong opinions about it.
Right, but
I have no horse in the race.
You have no horse in the
pony,
race.
no dog.
But the question, the caller, Dave,
Yes.
just in case you missed it, the caller was
miss
wanting to know about at what point the soul became the soul.
Okay. Yeah.
And I paused it because Art took it to the abortion side of things, and I kind of got heated on that thing.
Okay.
But anyway, thank you for the super chat. Just me for the $2 super chat. We appreciate you so much. Falsehoods. The check is in the mail. Yes, I'm trusting that Dave has got from falsehoods some kind of assurances.
Remember that Weird Al song? The check's in the mail. Well, hey, it's one of his Weird Al originals from one of his old albums.
J. Victor also writes, great question. Are souls continually created or are they recycled? That,
Well,
according to what we just heard from Jim earlier, they are
yes,
totally
the
recycled.
cosmology,
They
yes, of the
evolve, and
Testament of
they need to keep
Jmmanuel.
going through life after life in order
They are
to.
pieces of the divinity of the divine godhood that he sends out. It sends out to live multiple lives, and you're recycled until they gain whatever level of experience. Once they gain 999 experience points, or I don't know, whatever.
Right.
It's one of the rules of creation that aren't spelled out. Then they go back to God, but you keep living them. Yes. So
But versus the Christian
but that's
notion,
being hidden because it's doesn't jive with most Christian thought.
the Christian notion traditionally is, of course, that each person is granted a soulhood either
Yeah.
at conception or at some point between conception and birth. Of course, the question I have in general is what happens with like identical twins. Does God have extra souls on hand? Like, at what point do they have to split a soul? How does all that all work? But
I mean, I feel that's if you are going to go with the traditional Christian viewpoint, yes, every individual gets a fresh soul crammed right in there.
That's
There's
right.
an infinite number of God can just basically spit out as many as you need. Everybody gets their own soul. They're continually created. Off you go.
there's a well of souls, as it were, that they can
Mhm.
continually pull from. Bokanon, this is an excellent question. I'm not gonna lie, Dave.
Yes.
That last tequila hit me pretty hard.
Well, one more. Let's see what that does for you.
Ooh, no. Well, we'll see it. I need some really good colors before that's gonna
That's
gonna
going to happen.
happen.
But there's also another super chat from Brain Camp here.
We have brain cramp. Here we go.
Yes. I never understood how evolution was compatible with Christianity, because when did humans start getting a soul?
This is the question. Absolutely. This is germane to the caller, and let's see what our guest Jim has to say about all this.
And there are. If you want to take this question seriously, I have no serious real thoughts to add to it. But there are Christian scientists that have. There is real serious stuff you could see on it, and then it gets into, do you believe in young Earth Christian? Because then it never comes up, because there is never a time when there aren't humans, Homo sapiens as we understand them, out.
Right.
And if you are a
Old Earth
Christian, an old Earth Christian, and there are many
absolutely the majority,
very
in fact,
serious, very
by
intelligent
number,
academics who believe that.
Yeah.
And there are treatises and things about this that you can get into if you want to. If you Google it and look into it, you will find people who put very serious thought into this question and can answer it. And I don't give two shits. So, I don't have an answer for you, but there are people that do.
And for example, Hugh Ross, who's one of the leading thinkers in this area,
in the old Earth creation,
who's an astrologist in the old Earth camp, he actually believes that there are soulish creatures described in the Bible. I forget the Hebrew word, nephesh or gefesh or something. And I'm totally butchering it, so I apologize to everyone who speaks Hebrew and knows it correctly. That there is the word for soulish, and that they would say that there are actually various creatures beyond just humans. Like, so they would say that wolves and dogs, for example, are soulish.
And there's nothing in the Bible I've ever read that ever says that souls are exclusive to humans.
No, it doesn't, not at all. So there's a wide spectrum here of various things. So did I miss another super
You did
chat?
miss. There's one more super chat from J. Victor. Do gingers get to have a soul? Oops. Unfortunately, and I feel like all reputable academics agree with this, gingers do not get to have a soul.
Joel,
if you're a ginger, I apologize. But we, as much as we're sponsored by falsehood, we do,
oh, there it is,
cling to the truth. And gingers are soulless abominations that we would all be better off if they were cleansed.
I think it doesn't matter, atheist, Hindu,
Yeah, like I mean, we're stepping outside. This is beyond political or religious or any
That's
kind
right.
of.
I think we can just all agree.
Dogmatic, yeah, like
just gingers have no soul. I feel like that is.
Yeah,
I feel like we can get an amen across the board on that.
Yeah,
one.
absolutely. Probably not from the soulless gingers, but who cares?
I think even the honest ones, the honest gingers,
Yeah.
will recognize they have no soul.
There's no such thing, Paul. That's a tautology.
Well, you're probably correct about that. But if there were an honest ginger,
if there was some theoretical academic honest
in
ginger,
some world like it's kind of like a square circle. It's like you understand it, yeah. It's like, okay, well, you're living in a land of make believe at that point.
I hope we don't have any ginger watchers. Gritmonger has sent us a wonderfully generous super chat of $10. They say, how are souls supposed to even work anyway? If they're inviolate and eternal, they should be less interacting than dark matter. How do you scotch tape that to a body? Am I at risk of a black hole? Well, to answer the last question first, yes, Gritmonger, you are at risk of a black hole.
Of course.
Yeah. And you're right to be afraid. I actually, Paul, to step back.
David.
So I am, one of my many fascinations is astronomy and cosmology, like legitimately.
Which makes
and
me
I
sad,
have
but
been
that's fine. Yeah.
Going down a rabbit hole of supermassive black holes this past 2 weeks. I suspect, I don't know if I want to get it. So you're aware of supermassive black holes. I assume
I
we're
am.
referring to them.
I am. I'm feeling, a little bit. Let's see where this goes. I'm willing to.
So this is like the YouTube channel we both, or TikToks we both enjoy. Let me go down the rabbit hole. So there are in our universe supermassive black holes that have been observed in the heart of most galaxies or many galaxies. So here's where it gets interesting. And Chris will.
Kevin. Chris has been hearing me talk about this all day, so he's gonna leave.
Okay, this is true science. This is real. I don't want to again. So there is black holes actually absorb matter very slowly because of how fast they spin, and they have the accretion disks around them, and it takes actually quite a while for matter to make its way. They all have these disks, and it's actually very little matter that comes in to a black hole in any given moment, week, month of time.
Okay.
Because as they spin so fast and have so much gravity that anything coming towards them ends up getting caught in this orbit, and it's like, and slowly works its way in, but not very much matter falls into a black hole in any given period of time. Do you follow what I'm saying?
I follow. I guess I'm kind of saying, like, well, it seems like if you define the length of time as long enough, that obviously that's going to be counterintuitive.
Yes,
but
you're absolutely right. So there is kind of a hard limit to how big a black hole can grow in any given amount of time because of the nature of black holes. It's like, and the largest black holes that we can currently see in the universe are bigger than should be possible for the age of the universe, and not like a little bit bigger, like by multiple factors.
Okay.
These are they're too big. They're way too big. Like, it shouldn't be possible for a black hole to be this big in a universe that's even 8, 9, 10, 12, 15, 30 billion years old. It's like a black hole couldn't possibly go this big.
Okay.
So there's two major theories to explain this. One of them is something called black hole stars.
Okay.
And this is that.
I laugh only because this does sound like you're setting up a joke.
It does sound like it.
I know you're not. I know you're not setting up a joke, but it sounds like you are.
So in the very early days of the universe, there could have been something created called a black hole star. So a star could have formed so massive because there was so much matter in the universe contained within a fairly small, relatively speaking, small area, because the universe keeps expanding at the speed of light, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, but in the first, say, million years of the universe, there was so much matter in such a small space that a star could have formed that is many thousands of times larger than even the largest star we can currently observe.
In the first
And this
million?
star could
Okay.
not exist in the current universe. There's too much, like it's too big to have existed. But the math says that this star could have existed when essentially there wasn't space like we know it, when there was so much more matter in a smaller space. And there, like you could have a star that is 10,000 times larger than the largest star that exists now.
Okay, I'll give you this
Such-
hypothetically because I can imagine a way to reconcile it. Okay,
Such a large star would have a very short lifespan, relatively
Right.
speaking.
because there
But would
most
also
people,
be
well, scientists agree that there was hyperinflation. So if this is in the
Yeah.
hyperinflation area, okay,
but potentially a star could exist so large that you would have a supernova that collapsed to a black hole at the heart of this star that did not destroy the star. That the outer shell of the star keeps existing around this black hole. Because we're talking about stars that are physically larger than our current solar system.
Okay.
Many times.
okay,
Right? And because this black hole now has an actual star around it, the gravity and mass of the star is pushing matter into the star at a much accelerated rate than a black hole normally can absorb mass. And if this happened in the very early stages of the universe, you could get these supermassive black holes we see at the heart of most galaxies now.
okay,
That's one explanation. The other popularly accepted possible explanation is that the supermassive black holes predate our universe. That they are remnants of previous universes going off the
Okay.
Big Bang.
yeah, bullshit
Theory,
on
right?
that, but okay, all right, fine. Okay.
Well, there's actually hard math to support that might be true. Even with the current expansion of the universe and heat death, there is, for example, something called the Great Attractor, which is attracting our current galaxy and many other galaxies to a certain point, and we can't see it and we don't know why it is, but something we don't understand is currently attracting all of the galaxies in our local area of the universe to themselves. We don't know why.
Uh-huh.
And that itself is being attracted to another supercluster of galaxies in a way that there isn't enough matter to account for why gravity is doing the things it's doing with our local galaxies in our cluster. So the understanding is like, well, maybe there's something else going on. There's something going on that we don't understand. For some reason, all these galaxies are being attracted to each other. So obviously there's something going on in the universe that we just don't know yet. And maybe this thing is a thing that will eventually cause the universe to collapse back in on itself in the good old-fashioned Big Crunch, Big Bang, cyclical universe theory that you've probably heard before.
Okay, so I've lost the
Yeah.
thread. Why do I
Okay.
care about this?
Oh, you don't. So
Okay.
anyway, supermassive black holes are crazy and shouldn't possibly exist in the universe, and we can't explain why they do, but here's a whole bunch of theories.
Okay.
Hey, have another tequila shot, Paul.
I need to not.
What okay.
So you're a little unclear from this work when that occurs.
Well, we wouldn't be able to trust anything we heard anyhow, unless we could check it out for ourselves, and we have no device that will test for the presence or absence of a human spirit.
That's true. We certainly have no such device.
Maybe a psychic could.
On the wildcard line, you're on the air with Professor Deardorff. Hi.
Good evening.
So that was it. Goes back to that. I didn't know that was a rule that Art had. That was literally he just gives his calls 5 minutes.
Yeah, I didn't either, honestly.
That's his own personal. So obviously, it could occasionally be broken because who knows? Like it was his own rule. It was his own rule that was what he felt the attention span of his audience was going to be. That was 5 minutes. Moving on.
Good evening, Professor.
Good evening.
I find some of your explanations for Christ interesting. It would, as a matter of fact, explain Immaculate Conception, resurrection, and most of the miracles that he performed in front of people. And I was wondering if you had any ideas on. You said that he lived his life out in India.
Yes, although traveling around quite a lot. So northern India, Kashmir, and perhaps other places a little farther away.
Do you think that would lead into Hinduism and other religions in the area?
Well, Hinduism, of course, had been going on for many centuries earlier.
Predates
thank you.
Christianity. By
Thank you for
quite
at
a
least
lot.
acknowledging that. Yes, that like Jesus didn't come up with Hinduism. That would have been a rather big insult. Yeah.
This goes back to that crazy ass Stargate guy because he also talked about Jesus in India.
Yeah.
Other
Well,
places.
to be fair, there is 4th century, I want to say, like tradition of that.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yes.
That while Jesus, that after he spent his 40 days, in the Middle East, that he did a bit of a tour. And of course, the Mormons piggyback
Sociable.
on cheers. The Mormons piggyback on top of that too. That he did his India tour, then he did his North America tour. So yeah. We have a super chat from Eddie Dean.
Yes.
So God equals great attractor.
I mean, maybe. It's as good an explanation as we have right now.
Yeah.
This is now the cosmology stream. Sorry,
That's
Paul.
right.
But it might have reinforced it, a little bit, because he would have been teaching rather similar things.
Are there any records of any travels in North America or speculation on that?
I haven't looked into that. There is a book on that, I know. I don't remember its title.
Joseph
just from
Smith,
the
maybe.
Talmud Jmmanuel, what Meyer had to say after he was told by this priest who had evidently skimmed through this whole document before it was destroyed and told Meyer the gist of his having gone on to India and all that didn't ever get translated. There's no hint that he went on to India. Went on to
skimmed through. He skimmed it through. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, it's all good. Yeah.
America, which might have had to be done via UFO, I guess.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much, Professor.
All right, thank you very much for the call. And here is a faxed-in question from Oklahoma City. Art, please ask your guest how he equates this in respect to the other Gospels, which also say that Jesus was God's son, and in respect to other writers of the time that are not in the Bible, such as Flavius Josephus. This is a pretty important question, might help a lot of people decide whether they believe him or not. Cameron in Oklahoma City.
Well, the crux of the question seems to revolve about the phrase God's son, and you could understand how the people at that time, if he were to tell them he was the son of Gabriel, a celestial angel, wouldn't know quite what to think, and that could have been equated to God's son right then and there. So the idea that he was God's son, it wouldn't be too surprising if that came about for that reason, but I think Paul was the one who got it going, and that Paul indeed might have had the idea from the previous writings that had been around in the Hellenistic literature, like Cameron suggested. So to Paul, it wouldn't have been a totally new idea to say that Jesus was God's son. I believe he was the first one to have come up with that.
All right. This is from Sylvia.
I mean, no.
Any thoughts, Paul? No? What?
Yeah, no.
What?
So, I mean, clearly there were people. Paul, we have his first writings in 50 AD, 52-ish, 53. Clearly, Paul was persecuting Christians. Like, that was a thing he wrote.
Saul at that time.
So a lot of historians actually don't think that there was a translation from Saul to Paul. It was more like, my Jewish name is Saul when I'm speaking with Jewish people, and my Roman name is Paul. So it may not have been a transition the way some of that stuff. Anyway, blah blah blah. So no,
I'm delighted people are talking about Tim Hortons in chat.
Yeah, I'm trying to
explaining what Timmy's is. Yep.
I've lost my thread, Dave. I'm
something about Paul and the years. I'm too drunk to sort.
Yeah, I think the last I got too excited about the calls.
I feel bad because you had a legitimate New Testament point to make, and I
did, and I got derailed. So anyway,
Hortons.
no, so Paul, though. Oh,
Paul?
did Paul come up with the idea that Jesus was the Son of God? That's the question.
Right.
So, clearly, there was a Christianity that existed in order for Paul to say, I was persecuting Christians. There had to be at least some notions of Christianity before that.
Yeah.
And all evidence shows that the early creeds, the earliest things that we can trace back to pre-Gospels, were that at least people believed that Jesus rose from the dead and called himself the Son of God.
I've never, all of the scholarship I've seen, and I've not, I absolutely bow to your expertise in this area. I have very limited, but I have some.
Mm-hmm.
I've never seen any like sort of serious scholarship that thinks that like Paul/Saul came up with this. He came along after this movement, this belief already existed.
Right. So if this is an idea that entertains you, if you go to tinyurl.com/BartDivide,
okay,
that is a affiliate link to my for my channel for Dr. Bart Ehrman, who actually is literally teaching a course in a couple days here on did Paul or Jesus invent Christianity, and he goes through literally all this stuff historically. So if this for you is a question,
tinyurl.com/BartDivide.
BartDivide. You can register for world-renowned scholar Dr. Bart Ehrman in his course, which literally delves into this very question: who created Christianity? Did Jesus?
Now, I've listened to some of Bart Ehrman's stuff. It is, even as somebody who is not nearly as invested in New Testament scholarship as Paul is, he is a fantastic. He's entertaining. It's enjoyable. I really like Bart Ehrman.
Yeah,
I could listen to him talk all day long.
So I
highly recommend.
Yeah. I can't wait to hear this. I'm signed up. I can't wait to hear actually the course about. You're
too drunk on tequila to talk, so I'm going to shill for your channel for you, Paul. Yeah.
All right. Should we carry on, or are we done?
I think we need to carry. I mean, I've got a whole goddamn fucking beer.
All right. Well, let's finish. We'll finish your drink.
Okay.
In Vancouver.
Vancouver called, Dave.
Ooh, there we go.
Do you have any information which would add to or refute the information from Annie Kirkwood? My program of 10/23/94 about.
You can't, can you? Gritmonger is asking, how do I send a link to Dave for later? I don't even know.
You can on Twitter.
Twitter, yeah.
You're on the Twitter.
To Dave. That is my Twitter. There you go. Yep. Throw it on there.
Devastating earthquakes in 1995 through the year 2000, the volcanic eruptions, and the Earth polar shift, which is supposed to occur then.
No, the Talmud Jmmanuel does suggest that severe earth changes will happen, but how severe is left unclear, and when is certainly left unclear in terms of any precise time.
So his religion has this unique prophecy of the earth will change at an unspecified time in an unspecified way. But when you see it happen, you'll know that our prophecy was
I remember in the 90s, the polar shift was a big thing. Everyone was like, oh, boy, the poles are shifting. It's going to... well,
it's true.
So, no, I wouldn't be able to help you on that.
All right. And finally, from Lawson in San Clemente, Professor, Lawson would like to know if anybody in the religious community has spoken out in support of your work, or has studied your work, or has even commented on your work, one way or the other.
Not in the mainstream reputable scholars community.
No one reputable will talk about my
Out of the mainstream. Reputable, the shills, the sheeple.
The sheeple.
Yeah.
You can't get them to talk about it. It's one of those taboo topics. Almost every one of these heresies is a taboo topic that can't be.
It's a taboo topic. They won't talk about it because it's a taboo topic.
It's too real, man.
Nonsense.
It's
anti-Semitic, crazy rants. Okay. Yeah. Cool.
New Testament literature, even the scholars' literature, is radical. Some of them seem to be the mainstream Christians. And so if you were to interest someone in this who was a scholar, he wouldn't be able to talk about it to his colleagues because they would call him, crazy or up the wall or off the wall, something like that.
Yes, at least.
At least.
I feel like we got to get through at least one actual angry Christian caller.
I know. I would love an actual angry Christian caller. Where are they?
The wildcard line, you're on the air with Jim Deardorff. Good evening. Hello there.
Hello?
Yes, turn your radio off, please. Turn it off.
Yes?
All right, where are you calling from?
I'm calling Art Bell. Is it okay?
Yes, where are you calling from?
Oregon.
Oregon. Okay, what is your question?
I have 5 points. Joseph of Arimathea and Glastonbury and karma.
Do you know what that is, Dave?
No, I can't even understand what this person is saying.
She has 5 points, and I'm sorry.
Yeah, by all
Joseph
means.
Arimathea and Glastonbury. So, do you know who Joseph Arimathea is?
Yes, I know who Joseph Arimathea is.
So allegedly, provided the tomb for Jesus.
Yes, yeah.
Per lore,
Yeah, okay.
later,
This is something I don't know, so yeah, educate me.
per lore, Joseph Arimathea made his way to modern day UK, made his way to modern day London,
Okay, is this somehow part of? Is this like Grail lore?
and planted
kind of
his
thing?
yes, it is, and planted
Okay,
his
yeah.
staff there in
Okay.
Glastonbury, which is in the UK somewhere.
Scotland. Yeah.
Oh, Scotland.
There's a big music
okay,
festival
Scotland.
there.
So Glastonbury, Scotland. So Joseph Arimathea made it that far, planted his walking staff there. That sprouted and became a whole brand new type of tree.
Okay.
And then he from there.
Is this the Joshua tree? Anyways.
Perhaps I'm not sure, but anyway, but apparently in Glastonbury it is still a tourist attraction to go see the Joseph of Arimathea tree, where allegedly this man, walked that far, planted his staff, and that became this whole tree. So
I'm
we're
Googling
talking
it.
about like some sketchy.
I've heard some like crazy ass
Down the
Grail lore,
line.
like this is how the Grail ended up like
right,
in the UK.
and it ties up into because of course Indiana Jones 3.
Right.
Joseph of Arimathea is the cup bearer, is the cup guardian.
Yes, and
this all ties in. It's the same mythology that somehow Joseph of Arimathea becomes entangled in the King Arthur legends.
It's not even a very big tree.
Yeah.
Oh.
Anyway, it's funny.
Is in conflict with the teachings of Christ, and I can say why. And Dead Sea Scrolls and the life force vis-a-vis the physical.
Okay, well, I've caught at least.
What did she say about the Dead Sea Scrolls?
And I apologize. Glastonbury is in Somerset, England. It's not. It is not in Scotland. My mistake.
So you also missed what she just said about.
Yeah, something about the Dead Sea Scrolls.
Fair enough, because the Dead Sea Scrolls, of course, that's the weird part about this was that the Dead Sea Scrolls, not the weird part. The Dead Sea Scrolls were absolutely written before Jesus existed.
Were they all written before Jesus existed? Weren't they written over like several hundred years?
They were written over several hundred years, but the consensus is that they were in the ground by like 200 or 300 BC.
Okay.
So that nothing more modern than 200 or 300 BC has been reliably found there.
Okay. So, fair enough.
And that was, of course, Jesus. Jesus being 0
You're
BC.
the one who's friends with Kip Davis, so I will.
Yes, exactly. But Jesus famously, comes around the scene around 0 BC.
Give or take.
Give or take.
Give or take.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, Kip Davis is actually in here. Oh my goodness. All right.
Hi, Kip. Hey, Kip. Good to see you.
Kip, have you heard of the Talmud Jmmanuel with a J?
With a J. Throw it up. Throw the picture up on there, Paul. The wonderful, the incredibly anglicized.
Where is it? There picture. It is. We're on the wrong one. There it is. The Talmud Jmmanuel, Kip Davis.
That I feel like any serious scholar.
Oh, thank you. So I'm wrong. So I was wrong. 200 to 70. Okay, so perfect. But 200, I was in the ballpark. I was in the
Yeah.
ballpark.
So I thought some were written after. Yes.
That's fair.
Okay.
But
Yep.
but I think everyone here is agreeing that there can be no writings about Jesus
Yes.
in the Dead Sea Scrolls. Anyway, Kip, we are now discussing a prophet of the Talmud Jmmanuel tonight.
Yep.
Who the Talmud Jmmanuel allegedly written in Aramaic.
Yep.
Allegedly the source of the Gospel of.
I feel a little attacked by the way you keep throwing the word allegedly in there.
Allegedly the source of the Gospel Matthew.
There he goes again. Jesus Christ. Okay.
Jesus Christ, literally. Allegedly.
You see what I did there?
Yes, allegedly describes how the Star of Bethlehem was a UFO.
That is the whitest person I know, and I live in like the whitest region of the whitest part. Yeah, short of like Finland, I live in the whitest part of the world, and that is the whitest person I've ever seen in my life. That's pretty cool. That is 100% not what Jesus looked like.
All right. So the Talmud Jmmanuel was written in
Yes.
Aramaic, allegedly.
Yes. Yeah.
It was a Persian and a German.
No, a Palestinian.
Thank you. A Palestinian and a German walked into a bar, discovered the Talmud Jmmanuel
In a cave.
I
was very drunk on tequila. You have to forgive him.
And they were able to translate part of it.
Yes.
But then it went missing.
Yes. The Palestinian person who could read the ancient Aramaic it was written in was allegedly assassinated, and the original copies, which were preserved in resin.
That's right. It was captured in resin. That's right.
Preserved in resin somehow.
In resin. And they were able to somehow remove that.
There are not any Aramaic copies, Kip, but there are. So the original one was translated into German. And then the German version was translated into Jesus. The Aramaic copies were destroyed by those who don't want you to know. So unfortunately, those don't exist anymore.
Anyway, and this is purported to be the Aramaic version of the Gospel of Matthew that is spoken of by Papias.
Yeah.
In his thing. So the Gospel of Matthew is not based on the Gospel of Mark as the silly scholars think that it is.
No.
The Matthew is writing directly from the Talmud Jmmanuel.
Yeah.
Again, but was the German, is the German translation also available? Yeah, here it is.
Yeah.
Yes. $117, Dave. That's what a bargain.
I assume that's like an old printing that's still out there.
But Dave earlier read some of the Amazon reviews of this book, which was fun. So you can go back to anyway. Let's carry on. But the Talmud Jmmanuel, it's a whole thing. But it expresses that Jesus was not
my
divine.
family's German, so it's sort of a shame. Yeah.
Jesus is half human, as so Mary was the mother.
Yeah.
But Mary's
the mother, human mother.
Mary was, willingly or unwillingly, that is unclear, impregnated by aliens.
Yes. Yeah.
And so Jesus was a half alien, half human hybrid who espoused reincarnation. I know I'm a little bit out of it right now.
Anti-Semite.
Right. We forgot the. Am I at least describing in general, Dave, what we're talking about here?
Yeah, that's about right.
All right, that's the summary. All right, let's carry on. Let's see what we got for the call.
I feel like Kip can go back and tomorrow watch the
Talmud Jmmanuel indicates that Joseph of Arimathea was the key figure in recognizing that he wasn't dead at the crucifixion, and therefore getting permission to take him off the cross and take him to his own tomb, and then rushing to get some help from actually a couple of fellow friends he knew from England.
So this gentleman buys into the Muslim notion, that Jesus didn't actually die on the tomb. This is the swoon theory they call it.
I'm sorry, Jesus didn't die where?
Oh, on the cross. Pardon me. Thank you.
Okay.
I'm not long for this stream. Yeah, so Jesus did not die on the cross,
Right.
according to Muslims. That
Right.
he was nearly dead in a Monty
Yeah.
Python-esque humorous
Not
situation.
quite dead.
They took him
Not dead
down, and
yet.
he's like, "I'm not dead yet," and
Yeah.
then everyone's like, "Oh, he rose from the dead," when really, of course, he didn't die in the first place. So
He was just alive the whole time.
that's right.
Which is a lame trick.
All right. Let me get that off the screen.
India that were in that Jerusalem area, they were the most skilled, being Hindus, in the use of herbs and salves. And so Joseph of Arimathea enters in there, but we don't hear anything more about him after the entombment period. And so
That is correct, except for the story where he goes to England and plants his staff,
Yes.
and it becomes a tree.
The Thorn of Glastonbury.
on to Glastonbury or wherever. The Talmud Jmmanuel has nothing to say about that. As to karma, there's quite a few teachings in the Gospel of Matthew.
Why would the tome? Okay, but like this presumably would have happened quite a bit after the death of Jesus. You know, why would the Talmud of Emmanuel have anything to say about Joseph of Arimathea planting his staff at Glastonbury when presumably?
Oh no, that's a reasonable point. It shouldn't, but it should speak to Joseph of Arimathea as he intermingled with the life of Jesus. So you're right.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
the post Jesus adventures that Joseph of Arimathea went on with his various grails.
Yeah.
We've got one. It's grail shaped, with his various grails and his various planting of staffs. You're right. Shouldn't speak of that.
Emmanuel had taught karma, and it's certainly in the Talmud of Emmanuel.
For those who don't know, Jim, how would you define, what is karma?
Karma is the Hindu concept that goes along
Karma's a
with
bitch.
reincarnation that it usually does. That if you do a lot of bad acts through ignorance in this life and don't realize your mistakes and errors and don't...
It doesn't need to be through ignorance. You can also be through malice.
Yes.
You literally,
Have I ever told you about Paul? This is actually something really pretty. So back in the day when I went to Bible school, went to Cape and Ray Harbor Bible School. One of the things you did was you went on what they called temple tours.
Okay.
Where it was multiple days, and you would go you would go to like the Sikh temple, a Muslim temple.
Okay.
And have the, so you go to like a Muslim temple, and the imam of the Muslim, mosque would explain. He knew you were, all these people. There was like 40 people from a Christian Bible school come in and be like, I'm going to explain Islam to you. This is what we believe. This is why we believe it. I loved it. It was fascinating because I've always found, because I also took religious studies in university.
You did?
And it's always the idea of religious studies is so different from what actual believers of this religion believe. So to have somebody who's like a minister of this religion explain the faith to you.
Right. Yeah.
Knowing that you're not a member of this faith, you're a member of a different faith, but it's like, this is what we believe, and this is why we believe it. It was fantastic. I loved it. And we went out to like 5 different religions. We went to a Buddhist temple, the giant Buddhist temple in Vancouver, which is a huge, it's beautiful, it's gorgeous. A Buddhist monk came and would be like, this is all about Buddhism, and this is the Buddha and where he comes from, and blah blah blah, and reincarnate, like all the things we believe. And you would spend a full day just listening to this person, and everyone was very polite, and and we're like listening to, because it was the whole thing is like, okay, well, I actually really appreciate it. We're like, well, if you want to be like study Christianity and go listen to other religions. This is what they have to say and why they have to say it.
My Bible school did not do that. Yeah. Okay.
No, most don't. And I really appreciated that this particular one did it. And it was a wonderful, eye-opening, world-expanding, hey, I know you're all Christians and believe this. What if this? Right? And you're like, okay. Well, I get why you're doing these things and why you believe. It was very interesting. It was very fantastic. I highly recommend it.
Okay.
I don't know what else. Anyways, no real point to that, but I did that thing, and it was very interesting, and I enjoyed it very much.
All right.
So, anyways,
Life,
Sheila,
you'll have some harsh learning experiences where you may be subject to similar treatment that you unfairly dealt to others until you finally do learn your lesson and your conscience gets strong enough to be able to tell you in future lives not to do anything like that again.
Karma has always seemed so unfair to me, Jim. In other words, without conscious, underline the word conscious, recollection of any previous life, to in effect have to pay for what those have done.
That's fair, but that's not karma. That's reincarnation. Karma is literally the recurring. It's the
well, karma and
proportion-
reincarnation are completely intertwined.
no, but there are people who believe in karma without believing in reincarnation, right? That
Yes.
the universe will repay in kind.
But those people came later.
Yeah,
The
fair
idea
enough.
of karma originally is absolutely intertwined with reincarnation.
Okay, fair enough.
Previously seems grossly unfair. I suppose cosmically somehow it may be fair.
Anyway, I agree with Art. Like, it's kind of like this. If you if your life gets reset, and if you can't remember the things that you did, but you know that you're being punished in this life, and theoretically you're aware that it's a punishment, but you can't remember the action for which you're being punished, then it's kind of like dogs who only can have very, very limited short-term memory, right? Like,
Well,
if you
and so here's an interesting thing, getting back to what I was saying before, even talking to Buddhist monks and people I feel, okay, so I'm not an expert on this. But my understanding is to genuine Buddhists, reincarnation it's not a good thing. This is a thing. It's a onerous thing. It's you have to go through this.
my understanding as well, yeah.
Yeah, right. It's not like, oh, awesome, you get to be reborn. It's like,
Right.
no, you fucking have to just keep going through this and
Right,
putting
it's
the
like
work in until you somehow managed, your soul figures it out and you
it's
achieve
like a
nirvana
video
and go
game
through
where
it.
you failed the last time.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Where it's a more Western, white girl yoga kind of thing. Like reincarnation's awesome. It's like to the people who you go back 500 whatever thing. It was like reincarnation is like, no, it's not a good thing that you get to live again on Earth and go. It's like, fuck. Well, you beefed it last life.
Right.
You got to do this again. You beefed it so bad, you got to go down the chain to whatever thing. Hey, you did pretty good. You get to go up the chain to whatever thing.
Yeah.
It's like, and once you finally get good enough, you get to go to nirvana, into the more spiritual planes and other, forms of existence and stuff. Yeah. Our kind of Western bastardized view of reincarnation is very different than the traditional view of reincarnation.
Right. Yeah. You and I are on the same page about this. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it seems very unfair.
Yes, it does. And finally, nowadays, if one's interested, one can undergo past life regression and look into some of your past lives and start studying this and unlock those doors that have been locked for all those.
Where are the angry Christians? This should be making Christians very angry.
This should be, I guarantee there's some out there, but
Lifetime.
All right. On the toll-free line, you're on the air with
Toll-free
Jim
line.
Deardorff. Good evening. Hello.
Hi, Art.
Hello.
Enjoy your show very much.
Jim you.
And Professor Deardorff, I'm enjoying your presentation very much.
Thanks.
Oh,
And my
dear.
question is there anything in the Talmud of Jmmanuel that speaks to the Gnostic belief that the agency in the Old Testament wasn't the true God, that he was the demiurge?
Well, yes, not really in terms of demiurge, which doesn't get mentioned in the Talmud of Jmmanuel.
So, yes, my book absolutely addresses that, except that it doesn't address that in any way.
Except that, no, not really. Yeah.
but it suggests that most of the times in the Old Testament where a voice is speaking to some prophet or God or an angel appears in a burning bush, that sort of thing, that this was an extraterrestrial UFO event going on, like the wheels in the wheel seen by Ezekiel and the experiences in that book of the Old Testament.
Does it give us any guidelines as to knowing which things are on which sides? Because Jesus talked about the Father, and obviously Jesus believed that was a good agency, and yet there was this demiurge side of things that was an adversary towards mankind.
The Talmud Jmmanuel would indicate that the Father concept was a concept set in by the scribe who compiled the Gospel of Matthew to replace the creation idea that was in the Talmud Jmmanuel with something more familiar to the scribe. So even that is, of course, heretical and quite different between the two documents. It would indicate that maybe 85% of what Jesus purports to say in the Gospels weren't his true sayings at all, because they were so often heretical one way or another, they had to be altered. That's why the scholarly group...
I have a question for you, Paul.
Yes, Dave.
How can you presuppose that Jesus is an alien and that Christianity is fundamentally wrong and reincarnation is a thing, and be so goddamn fucking boring?
Right? Like, there's like this incredibly out
like
there
at least
view.
The crazy ass Nephilim guy was fun because he was all over the map with just like the crazy stuff. This guy's just like, this is like a goddamn stats lecture.
He treats it like
yeah.
You stole the words out of my mouth. He treats it like
This
it's
is
accounting.
Box Factory.
It's just
from
it's just accounting.
Yeah.
But they thought Jesus was from Nazareth, but he's really from. He doesn't even give us a planet. What planet is this? Any of these aliens from? We don't know.
I mean, there was some mention of the Pleiades custom before, but that was different aliens that met with the guy that wrote the book originally.
Yeah,
I don't know. Let's talk about Silo more, Paul.
Well, I think I need to probably wrap it up soon. Are you done your drink?
Yeah, fair enough. This drink?
How's your drink? It's close to getting done. So, do you have a joke for us, Dave?
Oh, okay. Well, I can't remember the jokes I've told and haven't told as I talked. Yeah. Okay. A shark goes into a bar. And the bartender says, "Hey, what can I get you?" And the shark says, "I don't know. What do you think's the funniest thing for a shark in a bar to order?" The bartender says, "Probably either a Bloody Mary or a fishbowl." And the shark says, "Okay, give me a fishbowl." Bartender's like, "Are you sure? That's kind of usually they're meant for multiple people. It's a lot for one person to drink." Shark says, "After the day I've had today, I could use it. Mix it up." So the bartender's like, "Okay." So as he's mixing up this, mixing rum and making this big fishbowl, bartender says, "What happened today?" The shark says, "Well, we lost one of our patients, and that always hits me pretty hard." Bartender says, "That's rough." And he says, "Are you a nurse shark?" And the shark says, "What are you talking about? I'm a doctor." And the bartender says, No, like your species. Are you a nurse shark?" He says, "No, I'm a great white." And the bartender says, "Whoa, dude, let's not get racist here. Okay? I don't want to make this all weird." And the great white shark says, "Racist? I'll have you know some of my best friends are black tip sharks." And the bartender says, "Look, okay, I feel like we've kind of gotten off on the wrong foot here. Tell you what, this drink, it's on the house. This is on me. And I want you to know, whatever happened with the patient today wasn't your fault, man. You were trying your best." And the shark says, "Well, between you and me, it kind of was my fault. I actually ate him." The bartender says, "Oh, it actually is. That's actually good news because the kitchen closed an hour ago, so I can't get you any food." Shark says, "The kitchen closed an hour ago." Bartender's like, "Yeah." He's like, "What? It's only 11 o'clock." Bartender's like, "Yeah." He's like, "What time is your bar close?" It's like 3 a.m. He's like, "Your kitchen closes 4 hours before the bar closes?" Bartender's like, "Yeah. I mean, that's pretty normal." Bartender's like, I I mean, I guess I'm just used to going to a different kind of bar." Bartender's like, "What bar do you normally go to?" Shark says, "The sandbar." That's it. That's it. That's what I got. That's what I got today. I don't know.
Oh,
I love that joke because there's like 20 jokes in it. Yeah.
you had me. I couldn't tell. I felt like I couldn't tell where the punchline was going to hit me from. It's
I
like
was gonna hit you because it was, yeah. I know that was. It's not my best. That's the let's go.
it was delicious, Dave. You served us all well. You did
Yeah,
a good job.
we try.
We
Are you
tried.
not entertained?
Are you not entertained? I feel
Mhm.
like we could have maybe held on for some more calls, but I feel like you captured it perfectly. This is the accountant of Jesus is G,
Also, my friend Paul is too drunk and can't continue
Jesus
on the
is
train.
the fact that Jesus is an alien.
Yeah,
If you can say that, if your whole shtick is that Jesus is an alien and you're
yeah.
boring for an hour and a half,
Oh my god, so boring, so boring. Like,
so
I mean, in our defense, chat, stream, we tried. We listened to like 5 calls,
we
and the
did.
calls all sucked too.
The
Like,
calls did suck. Where were the angry Christians
we tried. God damn it, we tried. We
who
want to
were?
entertain you people. We're
But
doing
he
what
did.
we can here.
Yeah, he didn't even go out and make any kind of like. They asked Art want. Sure, tell me what your blasphemies are, and he's like, "Yeah, my blasphemies
Yeah.
are irrelevant. The verse numbers aren't quite
Oh.
aligning." Where it's like,
There's a birthday
that's
party for 4 different people tomorrow, Paul, that might be like in my house because it might rain here.
okay.
And they're like, "Well, we'll just have it inside your house." And it's like, okay. I guess. Oh my goodness, super chats coming in
Yes,
left, right.
we have a very much thank you from Northern Spike.
Northern Spike. I don't recognize that name. Are
It's a
you?
new name to me as well. Yeah.
Well, I hope you enjoyed the show, Northern Spike. But that's a very generous super
Thank you
chat.
so much for that one. And
Good stream night.
And then we have another one from Just Me.
Yes. Why don't we ever see elephants hiding in trees? Because they're really good at it. Love, love, love. Toast to toast. We love you too, Just Me.
That is a good joke.
I feel okay. I'm going to give you another one.
All right.
Hey, Paul.
Yes, Dave.
My wife and I share a sense of humor. We have to because she doesn't have one. Yeah. Yeah, that joke. Yeah, there we go. Victor. Not going to lie, Dave, that joke needs accompanying rim shots. Oh, and then more. Super chats all over. Dave and Paul, thank you. That was not the best source material, but the two of you made lemonade.
Well, we appreciate you.
Try. Yeah.
And this is part of the and maybe we need to have staff meetings and reevaluate this in the future. We deliberately try not to preview every minute of the material.
No.
Because we want to be able to react along with everyone.
Yeah.
And that sometimes means that something that seems promising may not ultimately
pretty lame.
May not ultimately stick the landing. So
the other option, and Paul and I have talked about this, and I would be interested to see what chat thinks about this. throw it in the comments. There are non-Art Bell episodes of Coast to Coast that have some. There's George Norrie is way more into religious themes. Art Bell didn't care much for Christianity and religion, so there isn't a whole lot of Art Bell religious themed. But George Norrie fucking loves it. So many. But I hate George Norrie. He is just the worst. So, we could potentially branch out to outside of Art Bell, try and get some good guests.
Maybe.
Although there's a lot of Art Bell stuff we haven't touched yet.
Oh, there's a lot of, well, as we said, like there's, what did I say, 28, 40 episodes that he's done. Like you and I have only done like 20.
Malachi Martin, and Malachi Martin was on the show like 6 or 7 times.
Right. Like we've done like what, 20 episodes of this show, maybe at most.
Something like that.
Yeah. So we've
I
barely
can't
scratched
remember.
the
I'm too
surface.
drunk.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much, Dave, for joining me once again. Thank you, everyone in the chat. We appreciate
Thank you, Paul, for bringing us all together.
All right.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone. And if I can find my outro,
you can't.
Who knows? Who knows if I can?
We're going to be here all night because Paul doesn't know
that's
what's
right.
going
We're
on.
not. Good night, everyone.
What is the difference between a motorcycle and a vacuum? Strange assassin.